Hello and welcome to the second episode of the Strafe2Win podcast. On today's show, I sat down with Oliver and Simex, who you were probably already aware of. Oliver was a surf streamer in 2018 and 2019 and hit multiple world records in that time period. And Simex is an up-and-coming phenom of surf who is hitting multiple fantastic world records this year. On today's show, we talk about three central topics. We talk about the point system and how it favours certain playstyle and suggests ways that we would like to improve it, the tier system and ultra-hard surf, or some surf that could be considered unreasonable, like Fornax B4 and etc. And then we speak at length about how we would give advice to people who are trying to improve, how we improve ourselves, and how we manage our emotions and going for certain runs. In the background is some gameplay of me doing a practice session on Who Knows 2. There is a few good runs in there, so I'll probably timestamp so you can check those out separately. Also, at the end of the podcast, there's a bonus section where we talk about a topic which me and Oliver were interested in as a warm-up to get ourselves talking, but I feel like including it, and let me know if you enjoy non-surf conversation topics. So, that's everything, and I hope you enjoyed the podcast. It's quite a long one, so hopefully it'll entertain you while you do some surf. Do you think Joe Rogan podcast, do you think that he just does this? Like, all he does is just like invite people around and then he sits together for about 3 hours and just talks and then that's it? Like almost zero preparation.
I think that's like a little monkey ass. I mean, I think he's got really good social abilities, but he's probably got some bullet points just to fall back on.
Dude, that video is me in a nutshell right now. I have 4 assignments for tomorrow. I haven't started on any of them.
Dude, easy clap. Doesn't even matter. They'll get extended. If no one does it, it gets extended. Easy clap.
That's the problem. People do it. Fuck.
But we have bullet points to fall back on, is what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah. You know, that works.
Yeah. Okay. I mean...
It's all works for him, actually, because like, if his bullet points don't work or whatever, it's probably difficult to get the guest back on, right? So, but like, we can always like just stop the podcast if we like for any reason, like it just is fucked.
Right. Yeah, we can. Yeah, we have like so much more opportunity to record. Whereas he's like, okay, thanks for being here for a couple hours. Now I'll see you next year. Enjoy New York. I'm gonna stay in LA. That sort of thing.
Yeah, so that's really good.
Yeah, you know, the joys of the internet. What a magical thing.
What a magical
such a boomer that Jesus doesn't even know how to use the internet. Okay, Ollie and Simex. Should we move on to a topic?
Sure thing.
A topic's created by Oliver. I've created almost none of them. Okay, pick one. What do you want to talk about?
Money.
Ollie, do you want to pick one?
Oh shit! So we're putting also like okay. Oh, by the way, Ollie not only picked all the topics, but he picked the topic off the topic. That he picked. We just make sure Ollie gets all the blame here.
I'll do a nomination. You say if it's good. Wait, he hasn't done phonics before. The criteria.
He's not really good enough to do Fornax B4, unfortunately.
Not
even good enough to say.
I said he hasn't tried it.
You know, he probably wouldn't even get to the third ramp. You know,
he would easily. The fuck.
That's true. Unfortunate, dude. We can't. I'll give my opinion. I'll give my take on the 2 first ramps of Fornax B4.
You will.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude.
Wow. Okay, what was that?
Have you seen the video?
What?
Have you seen the run? The
Your
bonus?
run? I think I saw it.
You think it looks hard or it's doable?
Oh no, like I saved like a little bit on stream. It's definitely difficult. Yeah.
Oh wait, you did?
Yeah. I got to the last ramp, but like the flick was like I was nowhere near it, right? Because I was intentionally like flicking higher than I need to. I didn't employ the correct strat.
Yeah, you have to have insane years. Okay, maybe in different criteria for judging the overall best surfer. Or maybe just criteria for judging all surfers.
Yeah, but then that would be the same thing, right? Is like if you made a criteria for judging all surfers and like, you know, have like a distinct order for them, then you're gonna have somebody that's number 1. So. Well,
yeah, but it's not. I wouldn't say it's just all about ranking the number 1. Just ranking or judging all surfers.
Well, you would have to create a criteria and then you'd have to apply it to any surfer. So I mean, it just makes sense to apply it to, you know, figuring out the best person. You know, take the best like 3 or 5, and then using the criteria to figure out which one's the best of those.
Yeah. Also, this is really bad RNG. I actually have to go eat.
Wow.
All right, guys. Put the topic on hold. All right.
Okay.
Topic on hold. Okay. Well, if any, I mean, just think about it, right? Like, I can just click record, as in I can stop the recording, and then we can just pick straight back up, like nothing happened. Easy. All right. I'm gonna end the recording here then, and we'll pick up in a second, like,
right.
Or when Ollie's finished eating, or in an hour, or whenever.
Yeah. What'd you add?
And I checked the recording back.
Sailing B2 controversy.
Controversy.
Not controversy. If you want to be really
Well, I thought controversy as well, but Simex said controversy. I don't know.
Well, isn't that controversy? What the fuck is Wait, how do you
That's
say?
the type of shit teacher would say, by the way. Controversy.
Controversy. Oh, jeez.
Controversy is more like, I think, Americanized, isn't it?
Yeah, American. Yeah.
How was your time away from the microphone?
It was great not having. No man. It was good. I'm fueled up.
Cool. Always good to be fueled. So we want to just like get straight back into it. Like, I mean, Simex wanted to talk about one of those points. Do you want to just tell us which one it was?
I have to remember first. What were we talking about?
Well, it was the one that's like criteria for judging the overall best surfer.
Did I have any point? I just said that would be an interesting topic.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting topic. So,
I think I just said like, would it be judging how one should be ranked number 1, or would it just how we
well,
what's it called?
Yeah, I mean that's a good point to kind of consider, and I've always thought there's like a flaw in the point system that KSF have, but there's always going to be a flaw. Like, you can keep improving it, and there'll still be flaws. It's never going to be perfect like a point system, because you've got to take into account like 600 maps and then balance people's skill across those sort of maps. Like, when there's like weightings like favor different playstyles and stuff, so it's like it's almost impossible to make a perfect system, but I certainly think that the point system right now favors people who can do lots of maps rather than people who can do singular maps better than anybody else.
And the reason it's really difficult to take the other stuff into account is because we don't, like, even something like OSU as a more like, let's say, objective, quote unquote, way of measuring like the difficulty of a map, or like how much better you are than other people in a specific map, right? Where surfing is really subjective and the maps differ in so many different ways that we could never like even begin to approach this kind of system in like an objective manner, right? And a lot of people have tried, especially in the momentum discussions, right? And it's just never been like a feasible option. So like getting even like close to this in a system, like weighing how good a map record is compared to other map records and giving points based on that, it's just almost always going to be like a case by case thing, right? But we just weigh like how much better is this run than the other one on this specific map.
Yeah, it's almost like you can't automate it because the automation doesn't take into account how good the run actually is, ever.
Yep.
What could be done sounds dumb and will never be done, but theoretically, you could task them and then base people's plus to the task.
That's true. You would also have to take stuff like difficulty of specific skips into account if there's like one like almost only taskable skip, and then stuff like how long the map is, right? So the plus, like a plus on like air control, like to the task would always be worth more, or rather, I forget how to word that, but like less, like two plus 0.02 to an actual world record task would be worth like a lot as compared to like plus 0.02 to will be worth less than plus 0.02 to like an omnific task.
Do you mean, well, do you think that that's because of the total time? So you're comparing like 30 seconds to 5 minutes?
Yeah, so like if we take tasks to be basically, let's say, like a pseudo perfect run, then like being 0.02 to like a 3 minutes quote unquote pseudo like perfect run is obviously worth more than like air control, which you're just gonna almost de facto, if you get a top 10 run, be like really, really close to the best run.
Well, do you think that it's not only in case of like total time, because even if we took 0.02 on air control, if that's 30 seconds and omnific is 5 minutes, so that means there's 10 lots of air control. You can do air control 10 times over in one omnific run. So that means instead of 0.02 it would be 0.20. Like a 0.02 versus an air control task is not going to be as skillful as a 0.20 to an omnific task.
Yeah, that's true. There's like a different scaling. It's not even just like a direct comparison either, right? Like in terms of like the percentage you're off, I guess, or whatever.
Well, maybe we could do like a tier system for the optimal line.
That seems really difficult. Like you would have to. I mean, you could, I guess, technically, but it's like it seems really hard to like. How would you approach that, right?
Well, I think what needs to be assessed is how much margin for error is there when you're attempting the optimal line. Like, for example, if you do mess up on air control and you go slightly too high on one ramp, you can just make up for it and carry on, and you'll probably only lose a little bit of time. But say like for example, Nesquik with the stage 5 drop, it's almost like it almost needs to be perfect, like any sort of issue, and it's not going to get that drop and you're going to lose that 0.4 of a second.
Yeah, that seems like we're going back to like a case by case thing. Like it's really hard to judge.
But that's why you would put a tier on them, like, so because like a skip like that stage 5 skip is a drop, is really difficult to pull off. So that would be in the higher end, like like very small margin for error. So you'd put that in like a higher tier.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
But this sounds like a lot of work, and it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
But this is just in theory, like what could be done, but it won't happen because there are better things to do. What I think might want to happen though, like realistically, something that might happen, like for positive change, is buffing some of the maps which are ultra competitive. Because right now, like there's a point ceiling of like 3,200 or something like that.
Yeah.
Do we know?
You said points?
Yeah, what's the most points you can get for a map? Is it 3,000?
Isn't it? No, it's over 3. Isn't it like 3.4k?
Sure, it could be.
What was it? Some of the ruled out maps. Let me see.
I mean, we can take the high shot and just assume 34, 35.
How do you look at?
And the lowest is 2.2, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
What I'm interested in, Simex, if you're on the game, pick air control, for example, because I'm assuming that's got a lot of points.
Actually, PAX is 3,545.
Oh.
Jesus Christ. Because of
what
it's
map?
like PAX.
Oh, POX. Oh, shit, yeah. Wow. That's loads of points.
Yeah. And it's all about how close the top 10 times are, right?
What rank, what points does rank 2 get?
Let me see. He gets... Wait, rank 2? How do you see that?
PR at 2. Oh, actually, no. MI. Wait, I actually don't know.
No, you can't.
No, it is PR at 2.
You sure?
Mm-hmm.
That's Sony. He got 2.578. That's more than some world record maps.
Yeah, right. More than a lot of them.
More than I got for corruption and Vast.
But isn't the plus rank 2 is like plus 0, isn't it, on POX?
Yeah, it is.
So I mean, we got to say that run is better than a lot of world records.
Yeah, it is.
So it deserves the points that it gets. And what's rank 3?
Plus 0.02.
So I think it would be safe to say that run also is better than a lot of world records.
I guess, yeah.
So I think what we should do is maybe case by case, map by map, look at how competitive they are, and then give them like a buff for how competitive they are based on You know, if 5th place is better than most world records on most maps, then that needs to be worth more than 2,200 in order to make the points fair.
So that's true. But and we already agreed that like this would be almost impossible to do, right? Because you would have to reassess maps, right, as ranks change throughout time. So it would be like a lot of work consistently.
Well, what you could do is you could just be a bit more heavy-handed with it and do something like, for example, just multiply the points in the top 10 by 1.5 for a map like Mesa, and then just do it as in just have like a group of maps which you deem to be solid. So you'd start with your obvious ones like Mesa and Air Control, and then you'd slowly bring more maps into that as you feel they become competitive.
I think that's a fair way to approach it, as long as we don't like do like an insane buff, right? I think 1.5 or like 2, I guess, in like the extreme case would be probably the limit.
Yeah, I think it's a step in the right direction. I mean, I think the idea, it would be difficult to categorize them, because obviously maps like Leet Beta and Pox seem to be almost TAS, time.
Yeah.
Whereas there are some maps which are really competitive, like Summit. Summit seemed to be competitive, and then Levi took -10 off of it.
Yeah.
So what you don't want to do is think that a map is competitive and then someone blows it all out of the water and then just shows everyone that it's not. It never was.
Well, I guess you could just be far ahead of the competition, right?
Sorry?
You could just be so far above the competition. Maybe that should be rewarded.
If
you're the only person, that's like...
Yeah, but when we say the top 10 gets a buff, then you'd be buffing everyone who didn't have a good run.
Well,
like, sure, the number 1 deserves it, but not number 2 if it's been blown out by number 1.
Depends, right? So, like, if someone TASes like Omnific and takes like some time off it, and we deem that to be the good run, and then someone gets really close to that task, right? But other people still have their runs be like, I say, 1 or 2 seconds to that person's new, like, really improved run. I would still call those other runs like good. Maybe it still deserves to be like buffed as a top 10, but this person just so far above the competition.
I actually think that it wouldn't even... I don't think it is actually a problem to just do it on an opinion basis. Like, get a few people together who've got a good opinion of it from KSF, and then just have them spend a little bit of time semi-regularly going over maps and adjusting them as they see fit, and just continue to adjust. Like, improvements will be for the better. Sure, you're going to have something that in the future you'll want to undo, but then you can just because there's going to be like some losses doesn't mean that the overall progression isn't positive.
No, yeah, I agree. It would be like a net positive for sure. And even if things are going to be edited in the future, doesn't mean that it's less relevant now or less true now, right?
Right.
So it's a completely fine way, I think, to do it. And I think like, at least currently, if we relate it back to like who's the best surfer, I don't think anyone really truly judges that solely off like points. At least not most experienced surfers don't seem to like give much credence to just the point system for judging like which surfer is best or which order of surfers are like above each other, right? Like it seems to have always been like which types of maps do these people go for and how much are they beating these maps by and how consistently are they doing that, right? And that's how we decide who's like usually the best surfer, right? Like how Melinda was demolishing like a lot of really, really difficult like unit surf in like 2017. And that's why he was considered being like so much above the competition at the time.
I agree with that, but I also think that we do look at the point system, we do look at the server top to kind of get an impression of who is better than who. But I think it's both. I think we build our opinion based on world records that we see and specific runs that we see and how long it took them to pull them off, and we look at total points.
I think that's probably true, but it becomes less true as we get better. So like the top 10 would rarely be completely judged off points, right? We would just look at like how, or maybe it's just at the top, like who's the very best that ever was, right? We just would. I mean, the points could indicate it, but yeah. I mean, you should probably do both, right? For judging like overall, like how good a surfer is compared to other people, if you do it like on a broad basis. But like for the best, I don't know how much the points really matter almost at all, right? Like, do you remember how good Fisher was, despite being like I think barely top 50?
Yeah, so there's going to be anomalies. Like right now, we're looking at Marble and MBN Modi, you know. Yeah, Junichik. These people are significantly better than their point rating. And I mean, even you, when you were surfing too. And Simex too, like, has been better than his point rating for a while. So I do think there are special cases where we say, hey, their performance completely outweighs their points, of course. But I do think, like, when we look at the top 10, server top 10, I think we do see like tiers of skill, which is borne out in points.
Yes, I agree. So like the points, if we were to go off points, we would get like some reasonable idea of where people are skill wise. It would just be to say like if we were to measure the best way we could how good a surfer is compared to the competition, we wouldn't actually need to weigh their points really, except for maybe a starting point for like who to consider in the first place.
Okay, I agree. So how do you think we go about deciding who's the best surfer?
Well, that's also difficult because it gets into another question of like what type of surfer you are, right? Like, should someone like, and I don't even know which name to name, but you know the types of people that go for none us maps, right?
Well, I mean, we can. I think it's really. I think it really is simply stated just by pitting Caf and Levi against each other. Like, I know that Ruldar's ranked 2, but I think he does similar maps to Caf, and Caf does them. He does even more tricky based maps than Ruldar, it seems. Like more tier 3s. So,
but Ruldar can do them though. Like Ruldar can do both unit and gimmicky stuff.
Yeah, I think Ruldar is more of like a versatile player that's more like the middle ground between Levi and Caf. But I think Levi is pretty distinctly like units based, and Caf is kind of distinctly trick skill based. Yeah.
Do you?
Well, like, I mean, my opinion of Caf has been is growing more positive all the time because I mean, like over a year ago, it seemed like he was more capable in trick stuff than unit stuff, but now he's good at units too. Like you can't deny him, of course.
So what the two extremes that I would look at would be something like Levi, Melinda, Simex compared to like Shuffle, right? So like these like really distinct categories.
Or Silver
like,
thing.
Yeah, so like those types of maps.
But I thought Caf does some of those maps.
He does.
I think he does to an extent. It's just not his. I don't know how much of his main thing. I usually see him on like semi-smooth maps that are like they have some of shit in them.
I mean, he's taken some shuffled stuff for sure.
I wanted to have like a stark comparison of like really high skilled surfers, and I know that I think we all agree that Shuffle is fantastic. But do we think Shuffle is as skilled as Levi?
No. It was also just because I mean honestly I haven't followed surf as closely the past few months, so maybe Caf does do more of these maps than I initially had like an impression of. But that's why we want to use someone like Shuffle, because I just didn't think Caf did as many or as like extreme versions of these like map categories as someone like Shuffle Silver thing, or like I think Mako.
Yeah, Mako seems to do those sort of maps as well. I'm really bad for this because it's like I can't even pull out maps like by name off the top of my head, like because I just don't do these maps.
Yeah, so that's what it's like.
Gimmicky stuff, like
Surf Compact or something.
Yeah, Surf Stick, Surf Again, Surf Ultimate, Surf. Like those is kind of also thinking of Liberty Preview and Love Spliff and shit. That's the stuff that Marble does as well.
Yeah, Marble hit Dionysus recently, which is really impressive because he seems to be quite good with units too.
He does mostly gimmicky stuff. He's having classic, like the whole map, and he's doing it with a unit level of surf, which is pretty impressive because he's big minus on every stage. He just hasn't finished the run yet. Like imagine doing a 6-minute map, 6.5 minute map, where the surf is gimmicky, but you're doing it like unit fast. That's my cat.
Yeah, that's gonna like
a lot of potential.
Hell yeah. But it was to highlight that like if we were to judge the best surfer, we might want to do it within two different categories, right? And then if we wanted to do overall surfer, that might just be like either a public opinion thing or which category is most competitive, right? So which category has the surfer which is furthest progressed within that category, right?
And what would be the categories?
I disagree. Though, can I say is think about this with any sport. Like I'm thinking about FIFA. Do you know, like with these football players with like player ratings and stuff, like they all have numbers, and you can't say. I mean, we'd have to disagree with how they've done it on FIFA by saying that just because we can't compare Messi, a forward or a winger or something, versus one of the best defenders in the game, because the best defenders, I think they barely push 90, but like Messi's like 94 or something like that. So it's like. We wouldn't be able to compare them because they're two completely different play styles. But apparently one of them is so much more valuable than the other in terms of rating and financials for the company, for the clubs.
But that's why I was trying to get at that a bit. So it's like, even though we have two distinct categories, the way we would value it would be how far someone is, let's say, progressed within that category, which is like a difficult thing to weigh. But it would be how it seems like people do it in like FIFA or whatever, right? Like Messi is just such a superior striker compared to, let's say, other people within the category. We just don't have a defender that's as good as like some of these, I guess. I don't know. I don't do football. I only play like FIFA like 15 or whatever the fuck, and I never even got into it.
I'm just saying that the same problem would be present there, but they seem to have just completely sidestepped the problem.
Yeah, maybe. It's like, but I feel like we could say that like in virtue of the extra competition within unit surf maps, because they might be more popular, we have seen like people progress further within the category. They've become better at these types of maps compared to, let's say, the gimmicky surfers, right? Because there's never been a competition there.
Yeah, we could. That could be true, but it's just hard to say.
It is hard to say, and I don't think we can prove it, right? It would be like a feelsy thing.
And that would really suck as well, because that means that people who... One second.
Oh shit, the corona is acting up.
It actually fucking might be coronavirus, like fuck. Like
Bad buddy.
Wow. That was weird. I'm just dying of coronavirus out here.
You're laughing. Simon's just here like laughing at you fucking dying live, dude.
Yeah, I know. It's not safe on live anyway.
You've been smoking?
I'm just gonna fucking trim it out.
Look at I'm such a bad human being. This is the type of guy to go into like the ER and just laugh at people like
I'm sorry.
holy shit. Like imagine you go into like a full fucking like full of like hits with cancer and you just like what, are you dying, you fag?
That'd be so good.
So I do think I'm getting ill, which fucking sucks. But the amount of times that I've like had like a little bit of like a cough or something in my throat, and I'm like, oh my god, it's corona. Like, like I honestly like wake up with a slightly sore throat like every day, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna die. Like, so I don't know. It's probably just nothing. But I do feel a bit dry.
It do feel like that. Probably shouldn't worry too much.
Yeah, I'm not bothered. So long as I don't fucking start choking up like mid-conversation over and over again. What were we saying?
There's the idea of judging which people are the most superior overall, and we have two distinct categories to weigh.
That's
correct. What?
And the idea, and I do agree, so like it would be like fulfilling prophecy, right? If we have like the court of public opinion, which already like favors unit surf because it's more popular, it would usually be unit surfers that come out on top just in virtue of that, right? Even though it might also be true that they are just better in terms of like their respective category because there has been more competition and therefore more people that enter the category.
Ooh, I'm trying to, so I completely agree with you. I'm just trying to like prove myself wrong in my own head. Like, how do we really have the right to say that unit surf is where most of the progression has been as compared to like trick surf?
I don't think we can prove it.
Because
Unless
gimmick,
we
huh?
I guess we could technically prove it if we task things.
But then it goes back to the same sort of thing of like maybe a TAS on trick surf will be larger minus than on air control.
Yeah, so like I think there's possibility of certain biases because of the just inherent like differences in the way the maps are structured. So there might be more skips and stuff like that. But like if we do this on every single time of like every single map of the same length is always going to be the world record on the same length maps is always going to be closer to the task on the unit side, right? In every scenario or almost every single scenario. That would at least count as favor for the unit surf being more progressed.
Yeah.
Well, it just depends though, because you can maybe it's easier to be a unit surfer.
Oh, that might be true.
I think we have a decent like measuring stick here though. I just thought we could compare optimization of Tronic against air control. Because they seem to be like, you know, the king of maps in their category.
Yeah.
How much minus do you think is left on Tronic? I mean, do we even have a good idea of that?
No.
Almost none.
Okay, how much? Okay, let's start with air control because we know air control. How much minus is left on air control?
You could get a faster end, and like with his start, wait, Seki got minus 0.03 on CP1 with same speed. So that's 0.03 right off CP1.
I would,
and I guess, yeah.
I would hazard, like, in total, like minus 0.1 wouldn't blow my mind as impossible.
Yeah,
Cool.
I think that's possible. Yeah.
Do you think? I think that's just honestly, I wouldn't even. It might actually be the case that gimmick stuff comes out on top in terms of how close they are to the test, because it seems like unit stuff is just so much more unknown. It's like there's more progression almost to be had because gimmick stuff is just doing the gimmick and then getting a good line, as opposed to like how much better you can be at like pulling units.
I don't agree though, because I actually think so we should agree, maybe we agree that Sensor is no Levi when it comes to units. So if you just combined, if you just like all you did was the ramps were surfed by Levi and then you stitch that together with Sensor doing all the gimmicks, you're gonna have a much better run.
Yeah.
So there's gonna be a lot of space left on Tronic compared to air control, probably. By that reasoning.
Maybe. Sure. Yeah, it might be the case of like how much ability to pull units is going to affect a gimmick map's ability to be as close to perfection as possible, whereas on a unit map, gimmick ability doesn't actually do anything really.
Yeah, it does nothing. Almost.
Right. So the reason we would say gimmick maps are less optimized would just be because gimmick surfers needed like an extra component to their category, whereas we unit surfers don't.
Exactly. But then we can't underrate, like imagine someone put 1,000 hours into gimmick and 1,000 hours into unit surf, and then you're comparing that against someone who's put 2,000 hours into unit surf. Like, how would you even determine who's better?
Yeah, it's really difficult, and it would probably just have to be by like, and this is still susceptible to like false weighing, but it's probably the closest we can get, which is just like weighing same map lengths and seeing how close they are to like a task of that run, like how close they would be to like the perfection of their world records.
But then of course we would agree that the gimmick maps are going to be further away because they have the gimmick component.
Well, sure, but like we assumed that like a gimmick unit surfer, like a hybrid of that sort, would be closer to that. And if they're still not as close as a unit surfer to that restricted category.
So, yeah. Maybe what you should do is take somebody who isn't a. Maybe you should have the tasks done, but only have them done by gimmick surfers. So you wouldn't have like a Levi crazy task on something, because Levi can get his way through a gimmick no problem if he has multiple attempts. So if you just cut out everyone who's unit surfers, and then you can only do the task with or anyone who might be a gimmick surfer, then you're not going to have like a crazy high task, and that's what you compare it to.
Do we not want like the best task we can?
Well, what I'm saying is that the best task is harder on a gimmick map than it is on a non-gimmick map. So that would seem to be in the equalizer.
Yeah. Well, it depends. Oh, yeah, that's weird. Yeah.
I honestly don't think this is like gonna be fruitful in any way. I don't think we're gonna come to any sort of conclusion that's gonna make us feel any better about this.
I just thought it'd be really, because like I was, when I was thinking of topics, I was like, well, I guess we could talk about this. There's like a lot of stuff to like unpack.
Oh no, I'm not talking the topic down.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, if we keep digging, we're just gonna keep digging.
Yeah, we're gonna keep digging. Like, yeah, I don't think a good conclusion there.
Conclusion: Levi rank 1. Yes.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Simex the rank 1.
Simex rank 1.
The day I could do a gimmick map would be great.
Here's another problem with point system, and everyone knows it, and it's been a problem for a long time, and they just don't want to do anything about it just yet, because you're going to have to reprogram the timer or something. Is points for bonuses.
Yeah.
Like, let's complete 4xB4 and get 60 points. I bet that felt good, Simex. 660 points. That's worthwhile.
Woo!
Yeah, it's really difficult. Also, completion points in general, I guess, even for maps, right?
Yeah. Just the world record points thing has to maybe match some other stuff to it, like the difficulty of the map, and yeah, of course, popularity. And I don't know. That was the third thing I was thinking of.
So popularity be top points, right? Like how good you are compared to other people.
How what?
You said you would want you would want like popularity to be taken into account when like giving points for a bonus or a map. So that would be for like how many points you get for a specific rank on it, right? Not just completing it. That would just be difficulty.
Yeah. Also, yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, mainly for maps, right? Because right now, any long hard maps, you get close to no world record points. Like half of, I'm just gonna take myself for example, because I know I only do mostly hard and long maps, and half of the records I have are less points than rank 2 on pucks.
Yeah, and that's really difficult because we couldn't really weigh like unless we did the thing where we do like the task, the case by case thing. We can never get like a really good judgment of like how good a map record is, I guess, and how many points that should be worth. But what we could do is like for difficulty, we could readjust like how many points you get for certain completions, right? So I don't know about now, but if Corruption had been released like a year earlier, I don't think there's a reason for why the completion of Corruption shouldn't yield like the same point amount as like maybe a world record.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, right now, Sinsane 2 gives 5k to completion.
Yeah, don't we think that Corruption is harder than Sinsane 2?
I mean, I couldn't do Sinsane 2, but I could do Corruption. Yeah,
but you're quite a special surfer when it comes to units. Like a lot of people, some of the people who completed Sinsane 2 would say the same thing about Corruption because of their style. Like you make units look easy, so you've got like a biased perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I just surf like bigger ramps. I just have the narrow perspective of small ramps equals no thank you, and just play long big maps.
I mean, shouldn't we agree that because it's tier 8, it's like unanimously agreed it's harder than Sinsane 2?
Yeah, since it's tier 7.
Yeah, so I don't. Yeah, we should it should be fixed that Sinsane 2 should not give more points than Corruption for Completion.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'd say that.
Like, adjust other maps too. It's like, it would, if it's always in relation to how many attempts it would take a world record surfer to get that as compared to them getting a world record, which is like a really vague sort of like criteria. But I think it would work for like 6 and 7 maps.
Wait, how many what? Completions?
Like if we judge a map on the basis of like how many attempts would it take a surfer of this style to complete this map, as opposed to how many attempts would it take the same surfer to get a world record on a map of the same style, right? So if it's the exact same, it would be like 2 or 3k points for a completion.
Okay. Wait, so if you take a map, for example, you gimmicky maps have stick, and you'd say some surfer comfortable with that style, like the complete attempts it takes for him to complete and to world record something. I'm just
Yeah.
confused.
Like let's say we have like Levi or whatever, right? And we say like that Levi takes for like any world record, like not like a really good one, but just like a decent world record, he would take, I don't know, 500 attempts, right? And we say, okay, it took him as many attempts, or we would assume it would take as many attempts to complete the specific map. They might want to yield the same amount of points in that case.
Okay, but what about him doing? He took air control within about, I think it was 500 attempts or some shit.
Well, Levi has pulled just some crazy runs off in like 500 attempts. Like I remember like looking at Ing in the same story. Like, we shouldn't look at Levi's 500 attempts and say that like that's some sort of not good run or something, because it's still incredible. So as in most people's 500 attempts is more like 2,000 attempts. As in most Levi's 500 attempts is like 2,000 attempts for most people.
I also think the thing I just passed it might have been too vague, but it's something along the lines of like what I want to do, right? Like we have some idea of how many attempts it would take for someone to get a world record of the style map, and then we see how long would it take these types of people on average to like complete this map. And then we weigh that against, like, if it takes half the amount of attempts it would take them to get a world record to complete the map, it should give around half the amount of points for completion. And then we might even be able to adjust that just as like a starting point. We have like some vague idea of it.
Seems like a decently rough idea. I mean, how many attempts did it take Levi to complete Corruption? Was it like 200 or something?
Attempts?
Yeah.
I think 140 or some shit.
There's another issue with attempts as well, is because longer maps that have an easier start, or where the choke point is later, you're gonna have less attempts.
Yeah, you want to look at time and zone, right?
Yeah, time and zone, exactly. Simex is onto it.
There we go.
That's it. Because you can rack up like loads of attempts on something like beginner or Forbidden Ways or Pox, like with not a lot of time.
Yeah. We find.
As long as time and zone, and time and zone obviously includes like save log, right? I always forget.
I would say I always forget, but I don't think I've ever really figured it out. No, I don't think it does count time and zone. Save lock.
Yeah, the save lock doesn't.
Yeah, that's weird.
He said he put about the same amount of time into save, or even I think he said he put like 2-3 hours into save logging the map, or more. I don't remember. Like around a few hours at least. And he put 1 hour and 34 minutes in zone. So it's 139 attempts crossed on 1 hour and 34 minutes. So and counting with like start zone, like start jumping fails and like really short fails. On average, he gets about a little under maybe a minute into the map before he failed.
Yeah. Whereas if you take someone on beginner or something,
yeah,
like my average run length on beginner is like 5 seconds.
Yeah, and also if you look at like Puck's if you look at attempts on pucks, it gets doubled automatically because you have to go through the zone 2 times, and the
Same as
map is
Forbidden
super short.
Ways.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So attempts only accounts for like number of times you started a
Yeah,
run,
so
right?
you'd have to go, okay, so Levi spent 5 hours getting air control, and he spent 5 hours completing corruption. You'd have to do something like that and then say, okay, so roughly a world record points if it takes 5 hours here, then it should be completion should be that many points on a map that's like corruption or something like that.
Yeah, and then having some way by which we could measure how much time people spend in stable. Like if we don't have that now, would be really nice for that. If it was to become a system, right?
Yeah, but the only issue with that is something like Momentum or KSF Go or Surf Heaven, you know.
Yeah, you could cheat it. I guess we just have to like assume most people like the average is going to be close enough to like people being honest because like there's not that much utility in cheating it.
Yeah. I mean, sounds like a better position, but not flawless.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna nip to the toilet. I'll be right back. You can carry on. It's going to carry on recording.
Try not to like cough up your lungs.
Excuse me. Jesus.
Did you say cover up his lungs?
Cough up his lungs, like.
Oh, okay, I see. Dude, it took me the same time on completing corruption that it took me completing Phonics before.
Holy shit! You went for like a better run in corruption, right?
Oh yeah, that's right. I actually like the first few days, I have thought about just doing completions, but yeah, I wanted like I practiced the skip a lot, and then just went for like 7 hours one day. I just went for good runs.
Yeah, so I think that's like something you gotta take into account, right? Like you made the map harder for yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, and I actually want like after Levi finished, I was like, uh, I didn't play the map so much the first few days because I had work all weekend. And when I saw Levi's run, I wanted to make sure that was minus on all of his CPs so it could get
Ooh.
uploaded. And then I fucking fucked the end. But yeah, screw it. I was minus on all other CPs.
Bad RNG in the last CP.
No, I was just dumb, honestly. Like I just went. I just wanted to complete because that was the first time I made it to the last ramp, and just went full moon. I think I honestly was like 2 or 3 units away from not making the last jump. Did you see the like when I touched the end zone? It was
Yeah, it
like
was localized.
so fucking close to my heart.
Yeah, holy shit, dude.
Fun fucking map. But screw the fucking end. What were you thinking?
I wanted to have like an end choke point, so which is
Fuck you.
you can like tell the ending is so much like it had so much less thought put into it than the rest of the map. Even though the rest of the map is also like really weird. It's like specifically the ending is just like it's just there as like a choke point because it was usually. Did you see the earlier version of the map? You did, right? Where it's like it's just a platform.
It's just a big flick up
Yeah, it's
into
just
the.
free. As soon if you get through the
Yeah.
teleport, then it's like guaranteed you finish.
Just wanted to be longer than that.
I mean, it's kind of fair actually for the because the ending could be learned and it could be strategized. Like if you did as I did in my run, just flicking up as high as possible, it was almost free because you'd gain back the speed you lost from flicking up by just having the fall speed into the last ramp. That was the main problem by boarding the last ramp. You had to board it with speed and still have like a big line to work with. You couldn't do that with speed. So just flicking up would like made it like almost not failable.
Yeah. It's like much easier to convert, right? Like the map almost does it for
Yeah,
you, like earlier.
yeah, basically. Yeah. You just had to have like 1150 into the last teleport, which was like almost minimum to even reach the teleporter. So if you made it into the last stage, you could do it 100% if you just flicked high, as I did.
Easy clap.
Easy clap. And that was not easy clap.
So, I mean, I don't think we came to any fantastic conclusions on that topic, but maybe there was some, positive pieces of conclusions that we came to.
On the topic of how to judge the best surfers?
Yeah.
I guess I don't even know.
It's just for the sake of the discussion. I think it was interesting, probably. Maybe if the discussion comes up, like in the future, we'll like have the different perspectives, right? We've already gone through like different thought paths.
I think a couple of the easiest ones to agree on is that some bonuses need more points. They need to change the point system for tier rates in Sinsane 2, and it would be a good idea to get a group of people together to decide on competitive maps and then buff the points for them.
Mm-hmm.
I think. I don't think we...
More respect for the long maps, please.
Respect.
Respect for a Simex map, you.
For Simex maps.
Sounds motivating.
Okay. So we did one. Congrats, we got through a topic, kind of.
We did it, right? Actually, we went through a few, didn't we? We did the
Did we?
No, we didn't actually do this. Wait, I was gonna say. Oh, no, never mind. No, we did. We did best surfer and we did new tiers. Like, oh no, we didn't. We didn't do the unreasonable difficulty. Never mind.
Yeah, we only did one topic.
Yeah. But we branched it out like so closely to other topics.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ollie, do you pick a topic now, and then after that I'll pick a topic, and then if it's a really long time and we get bored and tired, we'll just stop at that.
Shit. Trying to think of like what I would want to say on any of these topics. I'm so indifferent. I feel like we could just talk on any of these.
Yeah. Well, just pick one. As in,
Yeah.
I think we'd do all right talking about any of them.
We can do I put it as good mapping and how to categorize maps, but it's probably more so the latter that's to be talked about. No, wait, it was never mind. New tiers and 4xP4, so like the unreasonable difficulty.
Ooh, well. Okay, yeah, we can talk about 4xP4.
Alright, let me just put it out there. Nothing is unreasonable unless someone hasn't done it. Aha.
Yeah, but that's what everyone thought of 4xP4 until you did it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's whenever someone completes a thing that seems to be unreasonably hard or something, it becomes reasonable.
Right, I agree. There's like a mentality shift. Like everyone's like, it's impossible. Melinda spent fucking 10,000 attempts on it. No one's ever going to do it. And then you do it, and then everyone's attitude changes to, yeah, it's really hard, but it's doable.
I mean, that's actually interesting about 4xP4, just that not exactly that. Some people thought that, but also when it got completed, some people on KSF still had the mindset of that was just a shit bonus that shouldn't be respected as a B4. There's still, I still have the discussion of all the cheated times, as I would call them, or the loop times on the bonus right now. They're still there because it's not respected as a bonus, as a B4.
I haven't asked anyone about that, but I feel quite bad about that because I think it really takes away from the significance of your achievement, and I don't think it's reasonable to say that, okay, just for this one, just because it's too hard, we'll let people loop it. I think a bunch of mappers always wanted to cause a problem for people going for 100%, and this one is successful. And I don't think that just because any old mapper can produce something by getting someone to task like this with Red Venom, that we should say, okay, you're allowed to cheat it.
I think it was okay as long as like before someone had completed the bonus, there was loop times, and everyone was kind of okay with it, and I was okay with it because like maybe it was not quite possible, and yeah, for the people that wanted completion percentage up, they could get it as long as it hadn't been completed. But I do think after completed, the loop times should be removed.
Yeah, and I think that's what the motivation probably is because it's it doesn't feel good to take away people's time once you've okayed it. Like if they'd have said a hard stance no from the beginning, it would be easier and no one would be upset. But if you say, yeah, go ahead and try and loop it, and then someone spends like an hour or two like working on it, loops it, pulls it off for their completion percentage, and then you're saying, well, no, it doesn't count. Like that sucks for that person. So that's where the conflict of like interests is.
Well, it sucks for the people that looped it, you're saying?
Yeah, because they were given like the green light to loop it or something, and then we have to change our mind on it.
I mean, it wasn't like they were given the green light. It was just more of people didn't care about it because, like with the other B4s, I think it didn't take a long time before it got released. Like most B4s were completed on the first day, and was therefore always respected as just a B4. And loop times on Highlands and or what other bonus was it? Highlands, for instance, and there was two other bonuses, B4s, that were looped and the times were removed. So why is Phonics B4 an exception?
Well, Phonics B4 is the first of its kind because I'm pretty sure that Beetle created Modern B4 and was like the prime tester for that. So it was kind of like him pushing his skill ability and producing a bonus for it. And then Facility was the same, but someone was using Melinda as a tester, if I recall correctly. And then the reason why this is different for Fornax is because it's not taking a tester and saying, hey, how difficult can we make this bonus together with your skill set. Inuva and Red Venom used TAS, which makes it completely different, like a different method for creating a bonus. Like Red Venom isn't prepared to complete it, whereas Melinda was for Facility, if that was what happened, and Beetle was for Modern, which is, I believe that is correct.
Could we could it be the idea that like a bonus doesn't count towards completion percent until it has a completion, which is to say like people can play a bonus, but it only starts counting towards total completion when someone does like get a legit completion.
I like that.
Yeah, it'd be a good idea, but you'd have to code it into the timer.
Yeah, so like if I would say the most preferable way maybe to go about like these difficult things would be to have that code into the timer.
Sounds
either
reasonable.
that or yeah, they could do.
But that doesn't get around the issue that we're facing now, Oliver, which is there's loop times on the same thing as same bonus as Simex's completion. So what's your stance on that? Do you think they should be removed?
Oh, so wait, I just want to make sure. So this would get around it in the future. It just wouldn't do anything for the current situation, right?
Yes.
So my stance right now is that like when things get changed, times that were pre-change, if they utilize the change, are usually removed, right? I don't think that's like a new stance. So it's probably fine to do that in this case as well, right? Like we can't hinder change because some people grinded pre-change, right? The same as like saying we can't change the point system because a lot of people put extra amount of time into grinding these specific maps because they wanted more points.
Yeah. Although you do upset some people, and a perfect example is of that is Mr. Dragon and GBS, because GBS flew past Mr. Dragon on points on KSF Go, and then because of that, Mr. Dragon just left.
Yeah.
So
it's like tough luck, yeah.
It's like these. Like, I don't think it's as simple as like, oh, we should just, screw people in the face of progress. I think that we shouldn't screw people too much because, it's not good for everyone. It's not good for the surf as a whole sometimes.
I agree. We should try and weigh like the pros and cons. I think in most cases it's probably better to lean towards like if we have reason to believe the progress is better, let's just lean towards, like, even if it upsets some people, it's like we can't really hold ourselves back that much, I don't think.
So you think they should be removed?
Yes. Fuck them.
Nice.
Oh, wow. Toxic.
Yeah.
Vikings.
I mean, frick them. All right, that's what I mean. I mean, how much time does it take to loop it? Like, I mean, I don't know. Am I undervaluing it?
It's looping it. Honestly, no time, dude. You just have to loop the first 2 ramps for like half a minute, and you have enough speed to do it poorly and still finish.
Yeah, like, yeah, fuck it. We've done changes that have affected people much harder than that. I don't mind it. Like,
I mean, they were never giving the green light because it was categorized as a B4 when it got released, and the rule set for B4s were like they could not be looped. And I know it isn't written down in any rule, but all loop times on any B4s have been removed because of the like the community respect for B4s. So it's like, yeah, I know it's kind of dumb because it hasn't been written down, but it's like an untold rule. But
yeah,
it's been demonstrated by removing loop times, if you can say that.
Something I want to mention about this is, so because I've surfed a lot of KSF Go, I've surfed a lot of 64 tick, which is obviously a little bit harder. So some bonuses on 64 tick are impossible. I know both of you know that simply. But then it becomes an interesting question when you come across some of the bonuses which are like very difficult on Source, and you try them on 64 tick. It becomes a question of, is this even possible? And then so that would mean there are bonuses on CSGO which are zoned, ready to play, count towards completion percentage, probably the same on Surf Heaven as well, and they're impossible. So in this case, of course, I think we all agree that it's okay to loop. But then, would you take the same approach? Like, for example, Modern B4 has been completed on CSGO now, which is freaking nuts, by Ruldar and Raveno, maybe someone else. So before that happens, you'd say, okay, yeah, go ahead and loop it and complete it. Would you take the same approach? Let them loop it. If someone completes it, remove the loops. And then just anyone who loops at their own risk. Yeah,
so I would say the best scenario would be the recurring, right? Which is to say, if it's not completed at all, it just doesn't count towards completion percent or whatever, right? But if we don't do that, I would be completely fine setting the precedent, like loop at your own like risk.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the coding would be like the much, and it'd be so fun as well because someone like Simex would just fuck over so many people single-handedly, right? By getting the first completion and putting this into the rotation of like, you need to complete this to get 100% now, because we know it's possible. Useful, right? It'd be so fucking fun.
Simex has ruined a lot of Percenter's career,
and it's so great because you can just push the meta over. It's so cool. I love that.
Don't you think? Yeah. Side topic. Don't you think we have to have sympathy for people who play for completion percentage, and then you have these mappers who are like, oh, I'm going to ruin their fucking gaming career?
Nah, because like I feel like this actually gets to the exact core of like what we want. The idea of like a completion means it's now in the system, boys. All right, you got to do this if you want 100%, because 100% doesn't like do anything other than like 100% in itself. So like if you want to go for 100%, you got to be ready for the challenge. Like as long as it's like, I want to say reasonably possible, which is just to say someone else has done it.
Yeah, but before 2017 with Modern B4, it was tier 6 only. There was no tier 7s, or you know, we could call them tier 8s now. I guess we have to call them tier 8s. There was no tier 8s, so 100% back then was doable by so many people. Like, you'd have like 50 servers who have the ability to do it, but now 100% is almost only doable by one person.
Which
no, it's not. Like, it's doable by none. Yeah,
it's probably doable by none, to be fair, because
I can't do any shit. But I know Michaela can do Phonics before, and that's his only, like, he only needs to do corruption and Phonics before, and he's
actually 100. To be fair, so when I said one person, I was thinking of you, Simex, and then I thought, oh, okay, obviously there's going to be something that Simex can't do, like, or will never just put yourself through doing. But I do think the one person who is a candidate for actually getting 100% completion with the current map set is Ruldar.
Yeah, Vuldar or Michaela. 100% Michaela.
Oh, really? You think Michaela can do?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
he's already
Dude,
had he's already a
what?
really high percentage, isn't he?
He only needs 2 more completions and 100%.
Oh shit.
Like
Oh
he's the
shit!
highest completed surfer right now.
I keep forgetting about Michaela because he's so smooth that I just think of him as just a smooth surfer.
Yeah, no, he can do like he's done all B4s except Phoenix right now, and I know for a fact that he can do B4. He's done it in Savelock a few times, and he's getting the same units as I got. And also towards the end, he has had the like the units required for a last flick. He's had that like 5+ times at least.
Well, you had ridiculous units since the last flick. Did you have
Okay, that was
1900?
yeah, I was like 5 or 3 units away from 1900.
Because
I had
I
more than
remember
the
in my segment, like tassing it, that I had like 1860 into the last.
Yeah, I've never had it over 1855 and still reached last ramp.
Yeah,
Like
it's
that was but probably also because like the more speed you have, the easier it becomes to like reach the next ramp. So like the gap from 1860 to 1890 wouldn't actually be that much. Crazy enough because the more speed you actually have, the less the distance.
how many
So
attempts did you have on that total?
before completing on
Yeah,
phonics,
what's your PR info completion
I mean,
attempts?
it was 2.7K attempts and 9 hours in zone.
So it was a reasonable grind then.
Yeah, it was a pretty. I spent 3 days in a row were like pretty big. I didn't. The thing about that bonus, I didn't save like the bonus. I haven't completed it in save lock before I started going for attempts
How
because
did you not practice the last ramp at all?
I mean I have save locked it, but I never completed it in save lock. But I mean I completed it just to no wait I save locked it just to like learn the bonus and yeah just get a feeling of what to do on every ramp. But yeah, I never completed.
We're in agreement though that save lock is harder than segment, right?
Yeah.
Because you can't strafe. Because when you segment it, it like pulls you back behind your join point or your telly, or whatever you want to call it,
You can
so
keep
that
the
you can
strafe.
so you can be strafing at that point. And with save lock, it kind of like there's a lag after you teleport each time where you're not strafing for extra units.
100%.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that was a side topic of percentage completion. So what does unreasonable difficulty mean then?
Non-completable. Like something that hasn't been completed or proven to be completable is unreasonable.
So would you say it's okay for a mapper to just make something that's even harder?
It just
Y-
wouldn't. Yeah.
I mean, as long as someone, I just really fucking like the idea that Ollie came with, like putting it in the surf timer that as long as something hasn't been completed, it shouldn't be regarded as completable or
Oh, and then that would mean
100%.
that mappers are mapping at their own risk, because the only
Yeah,
way that it
exactly.
becomes
Yeah, we wouldn't
relevant
even
is if
need
it's
to discuss it,
completable.
right?
Like it
Like we
just
wouldn't even
fixes,
have to have a position. Yeah.
yeah, it just fixes everything. Just fucking nice idea.
Yeah,
Ollie 5 head.
that is pretty five head.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Are we going to see? Okay, last question on the topic, unless someone wants to bring anything else upon it. It's almost dry. Are we going to see tier 9?
Hell yeah, dude. Well, at some point we are.
Two.
We're in the chat, Ozen.
Do you think if we made a Fornax B4 that was 3 minutes long, do you think that would be tier 9 or tier 8?
It's your 10. I
Fuck,
mean, unironically, isn't it? 3-minute phone X before?
the fucking doing a 3 minute version of the like at 20 seconds something near impossible. Yeah, that'd become, I mean, doable but impossible.
Like, it
Like,
might actually be 2 tiers above, like, corruption, right?
yeah.
Like holy shit.
100%. Maybe a tier should be. Oh, I think I actually talked about this beforehand. That tier 8 should be non-completed, and something that hasn't been completed should be tier 8 and move down to tier 7 when it has been
The problem
completed.
with that though is you're gonna have the same problem as you did before. The problem we had before is tier 6 became really wide, where there was actually kind of easy maps in there and really hard ones too, like Goliath or Devil, like along with like 666 or Sinister Evil or is it Nightmare? Like,
Yeah.
so if you did that, you're just going to make the last tier, the top tier, which would effectively be tier 7, because tier 8 is like the not yet completed. The top tier being tier 7 would just be really wide. We'd have some things which aren't that difficult, like Goliath, and you'd have some things which are almost impossible, like an 8-minute fucking Fornax B4.
Then just make the non-completable be tier 9, so there's still room in tier 8.
I was in like in the future, just move it up when you get a crowded tier.
Yeah, I'd say so. So
Okay.
as long as something hasn't been completed, it's tier 9, and when it does get completed, it moves to tier 8.
So that could work, right? So we're still keeping the idea of like expanding tiers when they get crowded, but we're adding the idea that like the top tier is only for uncompleted maps.
For uncompleted.
Yeah, so like
what sucks
to...
about that is as soon as you do complete a tier 8 or impossible tier, you don't get to say, "Hey, I'm the only person with a tier 8 completion."
Yeah, that's one thing. I mean, honestly, I'm kind of indifferent. Like, I don't, as long as like the tiers keep expanding as maps get more difficult, I don't really have too much of a sense on like if the highest tier should be for uncompleted stuff. It can be, and it can also not be. It's just like I would be indifferent to it.
Yeah, I'm similar, but I would say I prefer to not do that. I'd prefer to just keep doing what we're doing and keep adding tiers as we feel like maps are significantly harder.
Yeah,
I can see that.
I think I had one more question on the topic.
Was the question on the topic what your question was on the topic?
Confusing. I don't know. Okay. Okay, it's my turn to pick a map then. I mean, a tier, a topic.
There you go, buddy.
I can't.
So we
speak
gonna
now.
play the safe?
Huh?
Does Corona affect the brain? Did we have research?
Wow.
Pull up the numbers, boys.
Oh, good.
Okay, I think I'm laying the law down and picking the topic which is less like interesting to us, but probably more interesting to potential viewership. I'm gonna choose topic number 1.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I was looking at that. I'm like, we've milked this topic so much, like in private.
Yeah. So, okay. I don't know how to go about this. I mean, there'd be so many different ways to attack it. But what we could do is say something like, we could do something along the lines of, I say, "Oh, this is the best way," and then you guys disagree with it, or we could just talk in general about what people seem to do, what seems to not work. Like, oh, how about this then? How about this for the first question? How long do you play before you start thinking, "Fuck it, I need a break," or "This is too much, I need to wait till tomorrow"?
When I fail last stage.
Oh.
On Devil. Rage quit for a week.
No, I had to stay on on Devil. It was like 4 times, and then I'd quit. No, until something physically hurts. Just putting it fucking extreme.
No, that's true. Yeah, no, I agree. That's like when and like it's like you kind of like you start feeling like mentally tired, especially on stream, like after you've surfed for like for me it was like a couple hours, I want to say, and then I kept pushing through until my body actually started hurting, and then when it started getting really bad, that's when I would stop.
Yeah.
But like I was feeling drained like way before that, right? Like in a couple hours, I'm like mentally done.
Yeah, it is kind of like that progression of you're fresh, and then you're unfresh, you're mentally fatigued, and then your body starts dying and breaking down.
Yeah.
Like, do you have the states like where? Okay, so for me it was within the first 1 or 2 hours, usually only 1 hour, I could actually surf, but not being super warm. And then 1 hour in, I always get the same annoying pain in my left shoulder or left back. I don't know why, because it's my left arm, it's on my keyboard. I don't know. And like from there on, that's when I'm warm, and then that's when I'm really good at like surfing and I'm kind of consistent, and I can actually record some stuff. So that's like okay, I spend maybe 1 or 2 hours in that state where I just put my arm back and like and just deal with the pain and try and go for the record, and then just at some point it just becomes too much and you quit. But
Yeah.
that's the state where you can actually record something, but it's also the state where it's beginning to physically hurt.
Yeah, like the beginning of like the pain, it seems like when you're like an hour in or 2 hours and then it's starting
Yeah.
to hurt a bit. It's like when you're actually surfing, when you're in the run, you don't notice the pain. It's mostly afterwards you're like, oh, by the way, my body is like giving out on me right now.
Yeah.
It's so weird. And I used to have consistent. I don't know if you have that. I never had like shoulder or back pain. I don't know why. It might just be because of the way I sit, but I always had finger pain, right? Like I had finger pain when I wasn't surfing.
Oh
My
yeah,
fingers
I have
always
that
hurt.
as well.
Yeah, it's really like annoying. And then I would have like wrist and some forearm pain if I surfed for like a really long time, but the finger pain would just get progressively worse.
I never have forearm, but yeah, fingers but mainly on like my left hand. Like the way I position my fingers on the keyboard and press down is like super clumped together. So I just have pain. I have one spot on my hand that's it's the dumbest fucking thing. Like right under the little finger. There's like this knot thing that you put on your keyboard.
hmm
Um, and I have that all the time on. So whenever I press something, it just gets pressed down, and I always have this one really fucking red spot that just hurts so much.
Do you have do you press down your space bar when you surf?
On
When it
like when jumping or holding it down.
yeah, like do you hold
I
it down when you're surfing?
I used to do that like right after I quit B harp. I still had the memorization of holding down space for B hopping, so I did
Uh
that when surfing as well. But I don't do that anymore. No.
Oh shit! Because I never B hop, but I always did that, and I used to have, and I mean maybe you had the same thing when you B hop. Then I used to have this thing on the side of my thumb because like the edge of your space bar is like kind of like
Oh yeah, I have that.
sharp, right? Yes, you have like a crate out almost on like the right side of like your thumb, right? It's just
Oh,
really weird.
it's yeah.
I've still
Like,
got the
hell.
callus. Like I'm feeling the side of my thumb, and because I'm thinking to myself, yeah, that's a noob thing, right? You come from CS:GO and you hold space just in case you fucking land on a spine or something like that, and then everyone just gets into the habit. But then you break that habit when you do something like bind crouch jump to it, or you realize that it's just not necessary on source. But from the years of holding down space, I literally have like a rough patch on the side of my left thumb, which is not present on the side of my right thumb.
Dude, it's so like fucking stupid as well because I bound crouch jump to my alt key, but what I do is I crouch jump and then I lift my fucking finger off the key, obviously, right? Because I've jumped, and then I hold down space bar afterwards.
What?
Ridiculous, unnecessary. Just
I know it's just
you need to just uncrouch the first ramp. That's the meta.
yeah, true.
Yeah, release spacebar for the crossing the spine on the first ramp.
Shit.
Do you know? I think loads of people want like a tutorial on crouching. Like loads of people want to know what can be done with crouching.
Yeah, and it's like it's so weird as well because like you don't need it for one, and like if you really wanted to, like it's so hard to put like it into words in the sense. So like you could probably get like a pretty good idea by just like trying it out, right? Like say like how many units can I get without crouch? How many units can I get approaching it with these different crouching methods, right? Like is there a difference for me? Like that's the way. So like that's the way I approach it on air control. Like I crouch in a good few ramps on air control, right? Because I do get more units by doing, at least in my experience. It seems to work better because the flick isn't like the type of flick that would yield like a big punishment for it.
On air control, most of the ramps you're not actually flicking up at all. You're just like preventing a downward trajectory. You're like leveling out, which is crouch barely even affects.
So especially at the beginning on a lot of like air control ramps, and I think I crouch more than others do. I think some people might be uncrouching the ramps that I fully crouch, But like, especially at the beginning, yeah, it's like you're at low speed and you're like evening out, and it's like you can just straight crouch on it. You can get like a bit more speed back when you're closer.
There's
Yeah,
quite
you
a few
can
flicks.
stay lower.
There's quite a few flicks that you can do while crouched as well. Like surprisingly, like
Flicks?
it tends to be like the rule of thumb is do not crouch on a ramp if you need to flick off it.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems to be the case that there are quite a few that you can get away with it.
It's generally lower speed, right?
Sorry?
It's generally when you're at lower speeds, right?
I don't know. I usually just, I mean, I haven't tried it enough. I just try it sometimes, and sometimes, because you can see when crouch messes you up. It looks like you somehow uncrouch as you're ascending, and you can see when it,
Yeah.
so you can see when it messes you up, and you can see when it didn't mess you up. So sometimes I try it, because oftentimes, you know, I do crouch boarding, as in uncrouch boarding, like way too many ramps, like almost all of them. And that means sometimes I'm caught out and I actually end up crouched on the ramp. So I end up finding, you know, being crouched on more ramps than most people. So I get to like, just by coincidence, try out if you can flick off it while crouched.
I think it's weird. It's like the obvious cases like show in the way that you said, but I don't know if there are lesser obvious cases where like you don't really see it, but you're still losing like a couple of units from being crouched.
That could be true.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know if
gonna
that's
be true.
true.
I mean, I don't even know the exact like code behind it. Apparently, something along the lines of you lose 1/3 of your air acceleration, but I don't really know how that would really change anything much.
Yeah, you'll notice on servers that have like a higher air acceleration, there's like a breaking point where increasing the air acceleration doesn't really seem to affect your speed at all.
That's true.
And there's a breaking point as well. I think probably the breaking point for that probably differs on the amount of speed that you have and like how steep your ramp is. So like on 150 RXL, having only 1/3 of that RXL is probably fine completely in certain types of ramps and flicks because you're just at a low enough speed or at a low enough angle.
What do you think? So, okay, just to finish off crouching before we go back to just general improvement and stuff like that. Do you, I mean, I believe it's true. Do you believe it's true that uncrouching gives you an advantage?
Uncrouching?
Yeah.
As in, wait, oh, as like over ramps where you can, like boarding ramps?
Yeah, so the idea is, imagine when you, say you're crouched and you're a little cannonball, and when you let go of crouch, your head goes up a little bit. Let's say your head goes up 4 units, doesn't really matter. But let's say your feet go down 10 units. And it's going to be more than that, because like a character model is like 200 odd units or something. So let's say it's 10 units just for the sake of imagining it. Imagine if the ramp is only 5 units away. Now, does that mean, does it prevent you from extending your legs? Or does your legs extend 5 units, which is strange, you'd be like half crouched? Or does it extend 10 units and lift you up?
I think it is to extend 10 units and lift you up.
If that's the case, then it certainly is beneficial, because you're getting height out of nowhere. Potential energy out of nowhere.
We wouldn't know, but would we see that if it does that?
Oh, well, it's...
in our view model?
Well...
We slowed it down. I don't know.
When you uncrouch...
I think there's a distinct feeling for it, though. Like, it feels different.
I mean, I'll have to take your word for it, because I haven't really tried it, to be honest. So, like, I never did, like, uncrouching, because it seemed like it was really hard to time. And I wasn't sure if it was beneficial, but I wouldn't be opposed to the idea that it might be, because the source engine is already quite weird. So like it lifting you up I wouldn't be like, oh wow, that doesn't make sense in this like really logical movement engine. It's like I would just be like, yeah, I guess that could be a thing.
I don't think it's worth it for most people. I don't think it's been worth it for me. I think I've had some times that are better than I would have ever had I never done uncrouching, but so many runs go in the bin like because I end up crouched on a ramp.
Yeah, we're talking like edges of like possibility of like pulling units out of your ass on like short shit where you couldn't otherwise have beaten it.
Yeah, like Salient B2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you would value consistency, right? Because it's a consistency issue of like getting closest to like your potential run, not the potential of the run itself.
It's an interesting question for most people. Like, you're gonna ruin loads of runs, but you might have an optimal run which you've never had anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, which you would never have had you never pursued own crouching. So we're in agreement then. We might be wrong, but we're in agreement. So Ollie's open to it, and Simex believes it's true, and I believe it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, back to improving. So, okay, let's think about. Imagine there's somebody who's been playing like Go Free or something, random 100 tick servers. Like, how would you how do you think they would fastest improve to get to like hitting a world record on Source?
But
on Source. Okay. I mean, start off by playing Source. I mean, if you're taking someone that's been playing on 100 tick or CS:GO, right? And you say for them to hit a world record on Source, that wouldn't really make sense though. So are we just going for someone who's been playing on Source, or like why would their goal be to hit a world record on Source?
Well, that's because it's like the pinnacle for most people. Apart
Yeah.
from
Most
multiples of, you know, the first major goal should be to hit a world record on Source, and then it's a case of doing more on Source.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, starting off by surfing on Source. Like mostly the surfing on Source just feels more crisp and raw than it does in CS:GO. It's like surfing on CS:GO has this filter or something that makes, at least for me, that makes the surfing confusing because it doesn't feel like um it feels like the player models are either bigger or just acting weird when jumping and being on it's just not the engine for surfing, I'd say. It's not as precise
Have you
as
noticed that difference, Ollie? Like, I know 100% everyone will notice the size of model change, but have you noticed anything particularly different about surfing ramps?
Yeah, that's what I would say is like, I think if you start on CS:GO, the amount of difference you notice from like CS:GO to Source is probably like, I don't think it's that much, to be honest. And I would just have like, I would only really have my own experience to appeal to there. It's like if I go from CS:GO to Source and back, it's like I don't feel that much difference except for the movement in the start zone and then like the player model.
I'll tell you something that keeps on happening to me on fucking transitioning, which is really annoying. If I play on Source for a while and then I play on Go for a bit, I spine so many things because the model's bigger.
Yeah.
That's annoying. But it doesn't seem to happen too much nowadays. I don't know, I just feel more in... Because I haven't played Source for a long time, as in consistently, for like the majority of like a month or two, for a very long time now.
Yeah, I think someone that has played the majority of their surfing thing on Source, or they started on Source, I think they would probably feel more of a difference, possibly going from that to CS:GO. It seems like that's the case. It seems like people that started on Source, yeah, like people that started on Source used to have like a harsher opinion of CS:GO than people who switch from CS:GO to Source and then go back again.
Do you think that's got anything to do with the tick rate?
Tick rate?
Yeah, because it's 64 tick instead of 66.
I mean, it 2 ticks is a difference, but only on like it's just taking the percentage of 2 ticks away from 66 ticks on like every unit on every map. So that's the difference.
It makes a big difference though on some maps.
Depends on what you. Yeah, it just takes away the potential units you can have on some maps.
Right.
And yeah, for like completions and world records, it does become a bigger difference than it does on 66 tick.
Yeah, it would be like if someone tries to apply the exact same surfing experience they have on CS:GO from their CSS counterpart, and they're not getting as many units, they would just feel like chunky, right? They would feel like, well, the surf is just worse here because I'm clearly not as fast as I am by surfing the exact same way I was on Source.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think that happens kind of subconsciously. Is like, if you know a map and you know how hard it is to jump from, like, let's say there's a big gap and you have to do like an aggressive board to keep your units. That's only going to be significantly worse on Go. Like, it's going to be it's going to be harder to get the speed for the gap, and it's going to be harder to give. You're going to need to do an even more aggressive catch on the other side of that big gap as well. So it's just going to be less, like, something that's uncomfortable on Source becomes very uncomfortable on Go.
Yeah.
Just surf on Source if anyone's listening.
Hell yeah, dude.
Surf on Source.
If we don't take like motivation or like any mental into account when judging like the quickest path from like 100 tick surf on CS:GO to a world record on CSS, I would say the best way to go about it would actually be to go on like a 64 tick server on CS:GO, because it's going to be easy for you to get the maps that you want, right? It's like a pragmatic thing, right? So like if you want to get the quickest way towards the world record on CSS, it's probably going to be to specialize within some category of maps or some specific map, and then get really, really good at that until you can then world record it on CSS. And so to do that, it's going to be easier to stay on CS:GO because you have more free servers to choose from on your specified tick rate, as opposed to on CSS, where you need like a private server if you really want to grind out the kinds of maps that you want, right? Because people are going to keep wanting different types of maps like all the time.
Yeah, also just agreeing with what you just said, but also going to another thing, putting up goals for yourselves. Like, it sounded like a bit like you wanted to go straight from CS:GO to world record on Source, which isn't a goal you'd go from. You'd
Yeah.
more put like either I personally never did account for it like groups, because I know the gift points, but it's not that much. It was more going from, okay, I want to complete this, so like put up, I want to be able to complete tier ones. You want to complete a surf map, then into up the tiers. I want to be able to complete a tier 4 map, and then up to like being better at completing stuff, and then go from there to maybe getting, yeah, either G1s or top 10s, like straight from completing stuff. Because I think just completing really hard maps helps you learn how to be faster also, and having the save lock mechanism also, that's just the biggest eye opener after that.
Yeah, I completely agree. For like a mental thing, like keeping in the game and actually improving and feeling good about yourself and like not getting burned out. It seems like we would want, because like both things help you like tremendously. Is going for like a really difficult map, something that's like really difficult for you to complete, or some time that's really difficult for you to get on a specific map, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of like the case scenario where people don't improve is when they are on one map or on a server and they just kind of like chill around, right? They surf, they just like go for a couple of chill runs, talk to people, all this stuff, as opposed to having like really specific goals that they like pretty harshly work towards, right? And set for themselves, like, I need to be doing this and working towards this. I need to be improving my time by this much. This is my goal. I'm going to keep like practicing till I get this run. And that's like the main reason I'm on this server, right? It's like a mindset kind of issue, right? And the goals are there to like further enforce that mindset so that it's like easier to compute.
Yeah.
Are you taking the position that so I think there's two routes that I see people who become successful at this endeavor, right? Like people who hit multiple world records on Source. There's two routes that I see people taking. And this is a criticism I saw of you, Oliver. Someone, I'm not going to say who said it, but somebody said that Ollie's a grinder when we were talking about how good you were. And someone said, yeah, but he's a grinder. So there's two kinds of people, in my opinion, that get to this level of surf. There's the people who are very specific about what they're doing and will spend a lot of time achieving a specific goal. And there's people who get there by being more improvising more. By doing multiple maps, hitting easier goals like top 10s, and hitting some world records, but not really going for that, KSF record worthy upload record. Two different routes.
I think that's fine. I think that's also kind of unless I misworded it, I think that's consistent with what I was saying, because I wasn't saying that like you should be grinding specific maps like one map until you get like this like an extremely high end goal. It's just to say that like you should have goals that are challenging for you, and you should have like enough of them to where you don't burn out, and they should be reachable enough to where like it's also not going to burn you on, right? So you just need to like have shit that you need that you want to be doing that is like moderately challenging for you.
I completely agree with that, and I want to add my perspective on this is when I apply this to myself, I have wasted so much time playing Surf at a level which isn't actually challenging for me. It's kind of like I'm just playing to my ability, not trying to play slightly above my ability. And sure, I've played a lot of Surf, so I've still improved quite a bit, but I could have been significantly better if I took 1,000 of those hours, and instead of just doing what I can do over and over again on different maps, if I'd have been forcing myself to go for something like a higher standard, then I would be a better surfer today. And that's the trap of playing on CSGO, is because you don't get exposed to that higher standard as much.
Yeah,
you need to be well aware of like what the standard is that you should be achieving if you would want to stay on something like CSGO. And I think even as soon as you start asking yourself the question like, should I be on CSGO or on CSS, you're already aware of the standard. So I think at that point it's probably fine for you to stay on CSGO and like just know like, well, I need to be surfing above my ability. And I see like a lot of people, a lot of the people that I talk to in CSGO, they seem to have fallen into this like pitfall of like they chill around on a server for like multiple years, and they're like surprised that someone comes along having surfed for like less time than they have, but they're much better at surfing than they are, right? And they're like, well, how did this happen? It was because one person had like a very specific goal of improving, right, and staying competitive and trying to reach specific goals that would improve their time and overall surfing ability, whereas the other person just kind of wanted to have like a good time, which isn't like bad, right? Like if that's your goal in surf, that's okay, but you got to be getting along then with the fact that you're just not going to improve as much as other people are.
This is a good path of conversation. It makes me wonder, what would you recommend for the size of goals? So let's say we in all cases prescribe that a surfer should, if they want to improve, what they should be surfing right now is something, they should be shooting for something that's slightly outside of their skill range. And so it's like they're always failing, but shoot for the stars, fall on the moon, they will still be hitting runs which are, as about their skill level or slightly better, but their goal will be better than the slightly better runs. So then it's a question of how long should they spend failing? Do you have like a recommended amount of time, roughly, like a rule of thumb amount of time, or is it like an emotional thing where it's like you should keep going until you feel this demotivated by it, or something like that? What do you think?
Yeah, it would be like a feels based thing, don't you think? It was like certain people can like hold out longer, and certain people can like put up with like a harsher grind than others. It's like just make sure you don't burn out, right?
Yeah.
I
mean, can I just put another general note that I forgot about, like wanting to improve? I think forgotten thing is just specking good players, specking good surfers is what helped me a lot, because finding the difference between what makes someone worse than someone else is by watching the better person and what he does differently to what you does, and then implementing that and trying it out yourself, and then you're gonna have all these aha moments. This is what I'm doing wrong, this is what I should be doing, and then you use that to achieve more of the goals and more of the completions that you want to do. And yeah, I think just speaking, and also returning to the how much time should you. There's a lot of different people are different in the way that they can hold out longer or less. So yeah, probably make a goal that you think you're gonna be emotionally ready for, and if you find out that this is impossible, then quit that kind of goal before it's too late, I'd say.
Yeah, or adjust it, right? Like you gotta make sure you aren't like, you don't need to over dedicate yourself, right?
I like the some of the topics you made up here are fucking specific, dude. Actually, pretty good. From the
Oh.
comfort of your bed. How much of your time do you spend in your bed?
Not much actually. Only because I can't sleep. That's when I was on my phone. I was just having this on, like, oh, by the way, I'm having a lot of random thoughts right now that's keeping me awake.
I see. That's good. How we got into. Oh, I also added some more.
Who?
He should delete the Elysium series. That wasn't anything. It was just me wanting to talk about one of the maps.
Oh, you wanted to talk about the second one, right?
Yeah, the second one, yeah.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate. That's the one I have like no experience on.
Yes, I was waiting for you to say, "Oh yeah, I know about the second one." Fucking you only not know about that, dude. I've been putting like all my surfing time into that map right now, and I'm plus 0.02 on the fucking map, and it's the third oldest record right now
Oh,
by
Oh,
an
you're talking
elder.
about Elysium? What the fuck are you doing?
He's back. Fuck.
it's too bad. She didn't go to the bathroom. Fucking get a bigger
Oh.
bladder, dude.
I was just telling him that we should delete the Elysium series from from the topics. Okay,
Why?
that was only that was on. I didn't think you were gonna put it on. I was just wanting to talk about one of the Elysiums because I've been
Yeah, I
playing
want to
it
talk about them.
fucking much.
Yeah, I want to talk about
Not
Elysiums.
not all of them. I just wanted to like if you were talking about.
Well, we can talk
taking-
about all of them. We can talk about Elysium 2
no,
first.
no. I don't want to talk about all of them. I have never played any of them except the second one.
The fuck? Wait, really?
Yeah, that's really.
Oh, jeez.
It's.
wrong
I've
with
put
you?
up. I play smooth maps. Okay, Elysium is not smooth.
Whoa! You saying Elysium isn't smooth? That's a nuclear take.
No.
Someone cut that out.
That's not what I mean. Like the ramps on Elysium, like the curved ramps, they're not curved. Okay, they're fucking. It feels so shitty. Like, have you tried Stage 1 Elysium 2 or any of the Elysiums? Whenever it curves, it's like not curved. It's like what's it called? Fucking like, there's little parts.
Bumpy?
Yeah, it's bumpy. Okay,
Oh.
it feels so fucking weird because it's like right on the line between should I ram strafe or should I just stick to like going straight, and that's so fucking uncomfortable to surf. And that's not smooth. The rest of all of the maps are smooth. Okay.
Okay. Okay, shall we segue back into
Oh yeah.
improvement?
What was it?
I want to talk about Elysiums anyway, but we'll move on.
Okay.
Okay. So, we were talking about replays and how we can be better by watching replays. And I don't think I watch replays enough. I think I'm really stubborn. Like, so I will watch a replay once and I'll be like, okay, I know I've got like 3 ideas of what I need to do to pull this off. And then I'll be grinding it for a long time, and I'll be stubborn to not I'll want to do like a really good run with the information I know before I gather more information, as in like watch the replay again. But I should watch the replay way sooner than I typically do. Because after, let's say, 20 minutes of working with a few more bits of information, I know how... I have it like downloaded and cemented in my mind what I should do. I will be ready for more information, and it stunts my progress to like every single time I feel like I gather more, like a bit of information, like 5 minutes watching a replay, I'll spend like an hour or 2 trying to nail something with that information, whereas I should just be taking checkpoints like every 20 minutes to gather a bit more information. Then over the long run, I'd have just gathered way more information about every single map.
Yeah, and like Go on.
No, you go on. I've been going on 2 times now.
Not go for it. Listen.
No. You say go on all the time. You go on now.
Listen, the people want Simex. They want to hear.
The people want Simex. He's the only active surfer here.
No, they want
the only good surfer in the room right now.
The stream legend.
Stream legend Simex. I've seen the streams.
I've
seen one stream.
Yeah. You've seen my one fail. I remember. No. Go ahead.
Shit. Well, fuck. Now we have the pressure on, right?
Yeah.
It was Oh yeah, it was the idea that like presumably if you surf a map, you're gonna have like the same intuitions in terms of improving the run, whether or not you watch the replay or not, right? So you might as well watch the replay a lot of times so you have like a really good idea of exactly what the world record did as like a baseline, and then you can try whatever you think would improve it, right? In the case of like trying to beat the world record. And if it's the case of trying to get a top 10, you just want to be as closely maybe to the world record as you possibly can. So it's like there's like no reason to like underwatch it, if you want to say that. And I probably do the same thing, to be honest, which is like, yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah, I completely agree. I want to add slightly more to my point, or clarify it a little bit more in the sense of, so if I spend an hour, let's say I can pull off a good run for my standards in an average of once an hour. If I spend 20 minutes to solidify some information, and then I spend an hour on putting that run down, it will just be, it still might not be anywhere near a seriously good run. Like if there could be like 3 or 6 facts about the map which I've completely ignored, or I'm completely unaware of, but I've spent all this energy into perfecting like a suboptimal run, which was always going to be suboptimal.
Yeah.
I feel like it's important to keep checking the replay and keep searching for these answers to avoid this trap, which I so often find myself in, is perfecting a run which is always going to be suboptimal because I've got suboptimal information it's based on.
Yeah, I agree.
You should always do the things where if you're curious to like how the world record does a thing, you should pull up spec. And I hate that it's only VIP that can do it on KSF that can replay stuff. Which
Are you
I know
VIP?
it's yeah, I have lifetime.
Okay.
But I hate the idea that players that want to just surf and get good, they have to. I mean, it's a good way of supporting, but I don't like. Maybe I just don't like it being called VIP. Okay, back to the. You should always replay something if you're curious, or what's it called? You don't know what you're doing wrong. You should always replay and find out. Maybe put /key keys in the chat. I don't know. I know KSF has that, so you can know exactly. Okay, does he press? What does he actually do on this part? Does he crouch any ramps? Does he um, use any weird jumps or turn binds or something? You should always look out for the smaller details because it can help you before you start running for a long time, and at some point you're gonna get really consistent. And yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's really true, and it's like it's only going to get hopefully easier, right? Because right now some of the information might be kind of difficult, right? Because of what you said, right? The VIP thing, you have to pay not only to get it, right, but also I think they can only be like so many replays active at a time or whatever, so it might be like slightly inconvenient, right? But like that's only going to get easier as like stuff like momentum comes on or whatever, right?
Yeah, that's the whole pain of public servers. Because I remember when I was fucking skilled or casual or the rank up to like I had one goal of being experienced because that was like the rank that most people were in. And like from there on, the main goal for me was to just get a high enough rank for me to be on some different servers because the public servers were fucking shit to surf on. You could never get the map. You'd have like 20 minutes to learn a map or to surf it before it fucking RTVs shit. You will rely on VIPs to be online and to be friendly for you to extend the maps. You don't have the features to like all the stuff you want for to get better at surf. You almost have to be a really good surfer already. So like it's just about being experienced to have the big grind on public servers for you to be on expert servers with VIP ranks and stuff.
I
Yeah.
want to just throw in a bit of like a recommendation of KSF VIP. Like if anyone is considering being a surfer for more than a year, they should buy lifetime VIP, like no question. Like I think I spent about 3 months on VIP or something and then got lifetime, and I've saved so much money for it, as compared to if I'd have played all this time paying for it monthly. Like I'd have spent so much more on it. And now I don't even have to think about it at all. It's not even a consideration of like having to spend a little bit of money on to keep it going. It's like non-VIP doesn't exist to me. It's not a thing. So everyone should get lifetime as soon as they can afford it if they intend to play for a long time. And I think it's on a good offer at the moment. I don't know what that offer is though. And I should have an affiliate link, imagine.
Non-VIP isn't even an option anymore. I have ascended past the non-VIP. I am the biggest of the IPs. Okay.
Yeah, it's 100. I think it's $100 for a VA for lifetime, and it's $7 for each month.
But there's an offer on it right now. I think
there is?
Untouch put he put it in Surf Chat when we were talking about.
Wait,
they're considering adding start position into it. Do you know, like Surf Heaven?
And I don't know anything about Surf Heaven.
Well, start position is like save locking in a start zone, so you can start in the same spot over and over again.
Wait, what kind of offer did he do?
I don't know.
Oh well, if we're just talking about the standard, for it to be worth, instead of buying every month, you'd have to play for about 14 months. So yeah, 1 year. Fuck, as you said, if you're planning on surfing for more than a year and get really good at it, lifetime VIP and KSF is the best.
Yeah,
100%. And it supports the server, which I respect as well, because they do like keep up servers and what's it called? Like things to do. Like they keep it all running, and it should be fair for us to support it as well.
Yeah, I agree.
In that way.
True.
Love the game, even Oliver, who doesn't play it anymore.
Even if I hate the game, I love the game. Hell yeah.
So, what do we think about giving people advice when they spec the replay over and over again, and they keep putting runs down, but they still are confused. They still don't know what they're not doing right. What should those sort of people do?
I can understand if it's Levi, because he's just confusing. Never spec Levi bots.
Yeah, never spec. Let's boycott Levi bots.
Yeah. So if you're just still confused, if you're speccing a normal world record,
Specking a human.
Yeah, don't spec Simex. He uses scripts, so.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Don't spec me either. I can link the scripts, by the way. Link in the description.
Hey, it's my description. You don't say what's in there.
Link in the description. On his new website, we have Simex scripts, a specific tab.
Wait, I literally cannot answer that. Aldi, maybe.
Wait, what are we answering?
What should people do if they watch the replay over and over again, they keep doing runs, but they still don't understand what they're doing wrong?
Maybe it's just like, I mean, sometimes you're just not in it. I want to say sometimes it's a skill position to understand what's like going wrong, or maybe just like lack some knowledge to like even observe like what it is that's being done differently. And in that case, you can't really do anything, right? You just want to go for like whatever goal you've set for yourself, whatever you take to be a reasonable goal on the map, or just move to a different map, right? So like, there's no need to sit there and like trying to wrap your brain around something that you're never going to figure out, right? Like if it doesn't click after like, I want to say a few hours of like spectating the replay, it's probably not going to click at this point in like your skill progression. So like, there's no reason to stay on the map for longer than like your designated goal. Or even if you can't reach that goal, just like leave it, I'd imagine. It's probably fine.
Yeah, I have actually got two opinions on this, and the first one is pretty much similar to what you said just then. Sometimes just getting exposure to multiple maps and having like elements of ideas from other maps can impact your overall like your overview of surf, which then means that you have like a different context to try and understand the replay on the map that you were struggling with. So just going out and having exposure to more ramps and more ways of doing it in different contexts is going to impact your understanding. And secondly, I think so there's two parts to this. It's I think it's like a fundamentals issue. Like I think that these things can be so much easier to understand if you have a really solid grasp of fundamentals about like boarding, ramp strafing, strafing in general, Z-axis, overcatching, undercatching, loads of things, cuts, utilization of ramp. I mean, we could just go on and on and on about specifics, but fundamentals, I think there's so many people that don't understand like a wide range of fundamentals, which some people probably think is obvious. Like if you said to someone like Levi, you brought up some sort of obscure fundamental, he probably would never put it into words, but he'd be like, yeah, why doesn't everybody do that? Like, I mean, we were discussing like Bequistochrone. Like, imagine like the idea that if you're doing a flick, you should gradually get faster as you flick, as in your rate of rotation. Like, I think there's a lot of people that don't understand that. So all of these things, these these fundamentals need to be understood solidly in order to have like a good lens to interpret a replay and then apply it to the difference between you and that replay.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, it's a knowledge, like you lack the information, right? So like observing this over and over again when you don't have the lens in which to interpret it, it's just like, it's fruitless, right?
That's right. There's two ways that I think someone can go about fixing this. One of them is like my method or pursuit, which is try and be like a scientist about it and like analyze things in as much detail as possible. But that doesn't sound like a lot of fun. And the other is get advice from other people, as in speak to other people and try and get them to help you, especially people who can give like analytical advice, which leads into like an idea of I've given out lessons before, and I'm completely open to doing lessons again. Cheap plug, pay me. I'll teach you how to understand fundamentals. Yeah, that was a long elevator pitch, but there we go. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Those are the so yeah. Seek to understand the fundamentals and get people to help you. If you can't find anyone to help you, pay them.
And also, it's true with some of the people that are really good, but they don't put this stuff into words, right? So like, if you really wanted to, if like the idea of analyzing stuff or seeking out information seems really boring, it is definitely possible to just brute force your way through it and just get it as like an intuitive thing. If you surf enough, right, and you challenge yourself enough, like your body's just gonna automatically start remembering how to approach.
Well, actually, no. I think you're begging the question there, because it could be the case that we're just looking at someone like all the people who do it intuitively, like Levi and Josh and etc. and Tato or whatever, and we see these people, and when we ask them what do they think about what they've done, they just say, "Oh, I just play the game and I do it intuitively." We're just looking at those, and then like confirmation bias is saying, "Oh, if you did what they did, you're going to be as good as them." But that might not be the case. There could be plenty of people who've done the same method and been significantly worse than them.
So that might be true. I would say that might also be true for people that seek out the knowledge, but the time they spend out seeking the knowledge wasn't put into just surfing more competitively, and they therefore didn't get to the position which they wanted to be, right, skill wise. I mean, it could be true.
I think the conclusion is that there is no answer to this. There is no one size fits all or multiple sizes fits all. You could try everything and do everything right, get all the best advice, and you still might not be very good at surf. So, as in, put effort in at your own risk, because you might not be very good after you've put all the effort and maybe money into it as well.
Yeah, and at the lack of like good evidence for like which method is like the surefire way to get there or the best way to get there. If that is not there, which doesn't seem like it is here, you might just want to like go for like what you feel like you are, like in terms of like the type of person you are, right? So someone like Beetle might approach it like a very knowledge analytical type of like way, right? Where you look at like what the difference is between you and a better run, how you would improve your run by being more like the run that you're looking at. Whereas someone who is less, let's say, comfortable doing that or finds that less interesting might want to just like try and power their way through it by setting challenges for themselves and approaching a bunch of different maps at like the highest skill point they can.
I wonder if like everybody could be like, let's just say we assume that some people would suffer, like be unfortunate. They pay for all the advice, they get given all the advice, and they put all the work into making it intuitive also, and then they're still not good at surf for some reason. I wonder if these people would be would be good at. So let me try this from a different approach. So I feel like nobody really tries to analyze surf in any sort of like professional sort of sense. Like imagine if you took your run and the world record replay, and imagine if it was really easy to just chuck it into an application that put them side by side, and then you could just go frame by frame, or you could just look at the first 3 seconds over and over again and say, okay, so he's doing this differently to me, and you can just keep doing that over and over again. Like, nobody puts their run side by side with a world record, because, you know, you'd have to like throw up some sort of editing software to do that. But if that was easy to do, I think that would be so much more explanatory to people who might be struggling to understand what they're doing wrong.
Yeah, I agree. So like we kind of like we lack like ease of access tools that would help us analyze these runs in like a more efficient manner, right?
Yeah, I mean, it may just be eye-opening if they saw the difference side by side, frame by frame. Also, something that I think people should be taking advantage of, which I don't see a lot when this is also VIP. People don't save lock enough, just in general. Like, save lock, I would imagine you need to spend like at least half your time save locking on any run that you want to pull off. And I think people don't use custom zones enough. If they're struggling to figure out what's not working, custom zones, which show speed, using the toggle vel command, which shows you how fast you're going through a zone. All sorts of methods like this, I think. So there's a lot. What I'm trying to say is there's a lot of opportunity for somebody, if they're struggling, to try these more like analytical routes, and it might be eye-opening for them. But I don't think there are many people who are willing to put the effort into setting all of that up. Like, I hate making custom zones. I hate doing it.
Oh yeah, it's really and it's like, so yeah, it's like we lack some tools by which we could more easily analyze runs, but also the tools we have available aren't as frequently used as they maybe should be for people that want to improve, right?
That's right.
I completely, because like a lot of people, especially in CS:GO, they just undervalue the idea of like save locking, and they just refuse to do it. And it's really sad because it really fucking hinders your progress, right? Like it really fucks you over long term.
Yeah, I had in my first year or so, or when I was starting to get good, like maybe the early 2017, I remember arguing with some people on CSGO, because I still played on CSGO, like Mestra or something, or Go Free a fair amount, arguing with people who said that the best way for this person, so X person was saying the best way for him to get better is to not save lock. And I was like, that's crazy. Like, save locking is better. And I mean, purely, like, you can just take one reason, and they weren't able to produce any reason like against it other than, oh, it just is. The one reason that I think would convince most people is if you don't save lock, you're doing, you're spending 80% of your time on the first quarter of the map. Like, you're getting really good at the beginning and spending barely any time practicing the end because you rarely get there.
Right.
Except if it's a bonus.
Well, it's still true of a bonus anyway, because, like, I mean, take Salient B2, just it's on my mind. I only get past the second ramp, so I get to the third ramp like 1 in 3 attempts. Or less. So I get 3 times as much practice on the first 2 ramps than I do on the last 2 ramps.
Yeah, but also, when it comes to bonuses, I'd say by just playing the bonus, you get used to the start of it, and you progress. You kind of progress towards the later parts of the bonus, and you're gonna both improve, but also be more consistent at the start for you to reach the end. And yeah, you do want a little bit of practice for the end, but the end has to be like the last part of the progress, I'd say, for bonuses and stages mostly. It's like short stuff, because you don't like it's just the premise of you don't have to save log really short stuff.
Okay. I think what we can talk about briefly is like your way of approaching a map. So let's say you are going to pick a new map. What would you typically do to learn the map and then put down a run that you find acceptable? Do you want to open with what you would do, Simex?
Yeah, I'll come if it's a staged. Are we just putting up a random map or just something?
Yeah, I guess it's 2 different approaches, one for stage and linear, isn't it? I guess.
Yeah, because if it's staged, I mean, if it's really hard stage and long, of course you want to save log. Is to the extent of you want to have the map completed before going for runs, of course. So
Mm.
you can complete it and you know the end of it, and you can also switch between stages and practice in that way. So yeah, I'd say get a. It depends on the level of the person. If you want to get a good run complete and then practice each stage, I'd say mostly from the last stage towards the first stage, and get the best time you can possibly get on each stage. And from there on, you could start put down runs or practice from, let's say if it's a 4-stage map, practice from stage 3 to stage 4, then go to stage 2 to stage 3, and then from there on you can start running. That's
Right.
usually what I would do.
That's actually good for a stage map. For me personally, with if I'm going to approach a new map, I kind of make it. I mean, on CS:GO, it's quite easy to get times. So, and I prefer this lower goal, less total time put in. So, I'd like to do a run in a day. So what I could typically do if I was actually going to be like rigorous or something. I can't think of a word. If I was actually going to put effort and do my due diligence, be disciplined about it, I'd record the run. I'd record the replay so that I can have it on like a second monitor whenever I want, rather than using like exclamation mark replay, and I can use like the drag function to make it play the same part over and over again. I'd then save lock it. So I'd watch the replay a few times so I get an understanding of each bit, and then I would save lock the map from start to finish, making my save locks equivalent or better than the replay run. So I'd be comparing and doing the save locks one by one, ramp by ramp, until I get to the end. And then I will work back through my save locks. So let's say I've done 15 save locks. I'll go 14 to the end, and 13 to the end, and 12 to the end, and 11 to the end. I won't do that as strictly, but I will get a feel for how comfortable I'm getting with the end of the map, and slowly drag it back to about a half or a third in, and then I will start doing runs. And so I'll do a rotation of save locking, so about 80 minutes of spectating and save locking, and then I'll start doing runs. And it genuinely only takes about 10-15 minutes at that point to put down a decent run.
Yeah.
That's my strategy, at least.
Complex. Ollie?
I have like the same. It's like for a linear map, I would if I was going for the record, I would want to go. I would look at the beginning of the map, the first like couple rams, maybe 3 rams, whatever. I would practice that so I can get as many or more units as the wild record, and then I would watch the rest of the replay, and I would start save locking to beat their units going forward with my own save lock. For like, and when I get towards the ending, I would go back and I would try to go quicker than the world record in like locks that are further from the ending, right? So if I have like 5 locks and the 5th one is like the last ramp for the map, I would start trying the 4th lock and be quicker than the world record from the 4th lock to the end, and the 3rd lock to the end, 2nd lock to the end, and then we go for a run, right? So I have like the whole map, like not just segmented, but like as a whole package, right? From just like longer save locks. And I would do the same approach for stage maps, right? So if it's really long stages, I would like save lock the stages, go for specific stage times. The same way as Simex, I think that, right? You would just like, you would want to be, I want to be consistently quicker than the world record on basically every stage before I start going for runs. Like whenever I complete the stage, and I should only need like a couple attempts at most, especially for later stages, to complete the stage and have a faster time than the world record before I go for runs.
Yeah, mostly on later stages, you can easily be faster than the world record because of the pressure. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a funny dynamic that's like that. Like, I see it over and over again when I do a task. The first, like, take Nesquik or 666. The first 3 stages in the world record run will be pretty good, and then there'll be loads of room on the second half of the map. You know, if a map's like 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes long, like the last minute is going to be so much worse quality serve than the first minute in typical world records.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's also fair, you know.
Yeah, it's not saying they did bad. It's just that it's it's difficult to be that good for a large amount of time. That's a quality in its own right.
True.
Which TAS just completely ignores, right? That's why TAS is so easy.
Yeah.
Does anyone want to say anything else about getting better?
I think I had one thing, but I don't remember. Wait, you had one thing?
No, I was about to say, like, I think we've already said most of it. But what are you saying, Simex? Let's hear it.
I don't know. I think I forgot. Wait, speedrun interview. Oh, okay. Maybe I already said, but just like the first goals you want to have is based on completion, and you don't want to. It's more about getting the completions on harder and harder maps, and then go from there to having your goals be really good times, like G1s and top 10s. So you don't want to like stay on tier 1, tier 2 maps and try and improve up on there. You want to keep on on the harder maps to get better, I'd say.
I think that goes back to the idea of as in, if you do lots of different maps, you'll have exposure to different things. Unless you're just talking about new people. But it also works for not new people too, because I try to do a bunch of the tier 6, 7 stuff on CSGO, like, which is like almost impossible or really challenging or something. Like, that's one of my fun things, is CSGO makes something that's hard like an actual challenge, rather than just being not too bad. Like 666B6 is difficult on CSGO, but not so bad on Source. And because I keep on seeking out these challenges, and that's what I find fun, it kind of it has helped me become better. And if people just stay doing easy stuff, then it's going to be easier for them to not be pushing for something that's hard for them, or pushing for a run that's better than their current skill level.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about anything, Simex? Do you want to bring anything up? Want to talk about Elysium 2?
I don't know. Whatever you
have you beat it yet?
The world record?
Yeah.
I'm still plus 0.02. I spent like 3 hours yesterday running, and I got fucking 2 runs into stage 4 with minus. And like the record is so good. I'm not even kidding. Like,
Ollie.
that's the fucking insane run.
Ollie. Simex says that Elysium 2 is Melinda's best Elysium, but I thought Elysium 3 was the best one.
Does Melinda still have the record on Elysium 2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
But he doesn't have it on 3. And it's been minused by 0.37 by rule there.
Maybe. I wouldn't have a strong opinion on it because I haven't served Elysium 2. I don't know if yeah. I'm not sure. I would be open being convinced.
Fair enough.
When are you gonna get it?
Fucking next Tuesday. No, wait, next 3. Fuck, I have no time this week. Fucking maybe this weekend when I can be at a computer.
What?
I'll just surf while class. Online class. I have to go back to physical school on Wednesday. And yeah, it's all over that by then. Surfing no more.
Oh man, it's all over.
Yeah, until summer holidays.
Wow.
Hell, you
gonna
did.
quit. Oof.
Nope, I'm not gonna be able to surf for the next 4 days. So next week, this weekend.
I don't think Ollie knows. It might not be that big a deal, but Sinky got unbanned and he's playing again.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's funny. He's been permabanned like what 3-4 times. I thought this was actually gonna be it.
Yeah, well, he was permabanned for
been
ages this time, like a year and a half or something.
Yeah, but he's back and he's surfing, and he already got like a few world record bonuses and a rank 3, almost rank 2 on some map. So he's coming in strong.
Was there a discussion about unbanning him?
It was just Kev in the admins section on KSF just put up like a message. Okay, I want to have Sinky back for the competition. You can react with thumbs up or thumbs down. And 21 people reacted with thumbs up, and no one reacted thumbs down. So we all wanted to come back.
I guess that's fair then.
Yeah.
Time heals all wounds, and I never had a problem with Sinky, so I'm really glad.
What about Basuki?
Time doesn't heal all wounds.
Time does heal them.
The what?
What?
Basuki, you know. He got banned at the same time as Sinky. Time doesn't heal with him.
Oh yes, that's why I was asking if there was a discussion, because I was wondering like which criteria are we saying allows for Sinky to be unbanned but not the others. But I guess if Sinky is just a better surfer, then that's like the one we're implying we're saying because he's a better surfer he should be unbanned, and that's like
That's basically why he got unbanned.
Yeah, I mean that's
better
fine.
surfer.
I'm alright with that.
And you know, we would have the. I mean, it's not just a little bit better. Like Sinky was like rank 1, a ways and above everyone else. So it was kind of a loss to the community to ban him. So, and he may become really good again. Like he's what rank is he right now? Like 13 or something.
12. He's 12 right now.
Yeah, so he might become master fairly soon. Like in 6 months' time, he might be really, really good again.
Probably. He already is really. Do you know the B3 on Phoenix? Fucking Tux and Levi grinded out so hard. Me as well. And he came on like a few hours yesterday and took it by 0.05. Like a unit. It's a unit bonus, dude.
Yeah, I think I know it.
It's actually nuts. It's actually pretty nuts.
It's too good.
What about Melinda? Is he? How long has he been back for?
Since like October 2019. He's just been a bit on and off, but he's mostly back now. But I think he's just mostly surfing in the weekends, and he's just going hard.
In terms of units? Have you watched him much?
In terms of what?
Of units, like because he was like the pinnacle of unit surf back in 2017-18 or something.
Yeah, he's like close, like one of the closest you can get to perfect, I'd say. Like just his movement, because he's so fucking optimal. Like every strafe is just super clean, and yeah, I think he's like on top when it comes to unit surf. 100%. Just not Levi unit.
So he's like, close, but he's not. And you know, he might be there real soon.
Yeah, I think on some stuff, it's weird to say because some stuff he can do better than everyone else, including Levi, but just like
yeah,
Levi
because he's there's a weird way of categorizing it, or at least the way that I think of it is like some people surf aggressively and some people surf passively. And I always thought this was a distinction between Beetle and Melinda when they were both really good at units. And a way to like exaggerate this is if you look at Fav's surfing, he's like very aggressive, and Levi's aggressive, Josh is aggressive, Beetle's aggressive, and then you've got people who are passive, like who I can't remember what it was, like people who typically go for precise boards rather than like over strafes, and people who when you're doing like air strafes, people who leave units on the table because they strafe too slowly, or people who waste units because they strafe too quickly in, you know, the strafes just after you pre-strafe. And Melinda, as far as I knew it, was always an understrafer, and then like Beetle was always an overstrafer. And yeah, I don't know much about Levi, because he seems to be aggressive on ramps, but his air strafing, I don't know, it just seems to be, I can't tell, it seems to be about neutral.
Yeah, it's pretty neutral. Yeah, it's just when he gets close to the ramps, he just goes maniac when ramp strafing.
Yeah. I think he's just too good for me to be able to judge.
Basically,
it's just it's transcended like anything we can perceive. So yeah, Melinda's going to be better at things that are lean towards a more passive surfer. You know, like people would say something as a Saxton map. Like Melinda's kind of in that Saxton territory. So are you. Apart from your beginning strafes, they're a bit janky.
No, they're not. They're perfect.
Oh wow. Oh really? Okay.
They are. 100%.
Only kidding. But you have jokes aside though. So I'm not trying to dig you. You have sharper edges than people with passive surf. Like your strafes before you hit a ramp have sharper edges than most people who are as smooth as you when you were in the middle of a map.
Probably comes from b-hopping.
Yeah, I think it does come from b-hopping. But
That's a nice addition. Like coming from b-hopping into surf, you kind of automatically look a bit more clean when surfing, because you have the whole motion where it's all kind of fluent and it has a flow to it. When you look at Roldar and Diddley, you know those two, right?
Yeah.
Like when they strafe, they don't have the same bounce of flow. Like they can still be really really clean on the ramps, but in the air they're sometimes just really neutral. Or when they strafe in the start, it's just like a movement with your mouse. It's not very strafey, if you get what I say.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we're getting a bit tired.
Yeah.
But I think it's been a really good chat. Like,
it's been really fun, yeah.
So should we call it?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Ollie?
That's right, I'm blowing my nose. Yeah. So again?
I think we're coming to the end of like our energetic talking. Do you think we should call it?
Yeah, we've been talking for, let's just take a look. It's been like
2 hours and 50 minutes I've got of footage.
Hell yeah, dude. That works. We take those and we burned through let's see, Strafe2Win best surfer, difficulty, and how to improve your surfing ability.
Yeah. I mean, when we started the podcast, I thought, yeah, we're going to need about that many topics. You know, we could do like 8 or 10, and then we just did 3 and just spent a long time on them. And we did the most important topic of all.
Oh, yeah? What?
Deergate.
8K.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, what you saying?
You didn't got the first time you said it.
Yeah.
What's you saying?
I don't know if I'm going to include that, but I might include it. I mean,
wait, what is it saying?
Deergate.
Oh.
Yeah, Deergate. Jesus.
Oh dear, he's not listening.
Oh
Is that
dear.
the Fury Girl, right?
Oh dear.
Yeah, fucking the comment out of 1 million, what was it, people, there's gonna be 1,000 trans. Of 1,000 trans, there's gonna be 1 deer. Oh, that's great. It's fucking godlike.
Yeah.
Like,
so
I was hoping that this amount of topics wouldn't last just one thing, but I think we did better than I thought we would do. Like 3 topics is definitely like really good for this amount of time.
Yeah, and I mean it gives like potential for doing it again, because I mean I had fun talking about this, and that means we've just got more material to talk about in future, I guess.
Hell yeah.
Interesting stuff.
I don't know how you're supposed to like do an outro on one of these, but I guess
smash that motherfucking like. Ring the notification bell.
50% of the viewers ain't subscribed. Oh.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. All I guess my comment on that is if you watch like 2 hours of the video, then subscribe. Yeah, because you've spent 2 hours already. So thank you to everybody, people who watched, and Ollie, and special thanks to Oliver, the retired surfer, and special thanks to Simex, the soon to be retired surfer.
Hell yeah.
Soon to be retired.
Currently retired.
Okay, well, okay, then that's the end of the video. Peace.
And cut.
I also was thinking about, do you know that oh dear, like Deergate? Yeah. I feel like making a video defending her.
Really?
Yeah, because there's so much misinformation, like paints her more negatively than she is.
What kind of misinformation?
Well, let's just take, for example, the all of you are white supremacists. You know that one? Yeah, so what's your opinion on that one?
Wait, who is she talking to in that clip?
Her chat.
Probably not a good thing to say.
Yeah, well, okay, here it is. So what she said was something like, it's her opinion that lots of you gamers in the chat are white supremacists. And what's been taken from that is like, everybody keeps saying most instead of lots of, you know, because lots of doesn't mean more than half, whereas most kind of does. So she could just be... No, this is the misinformation part of it. There's a lot of like she's doing bad things. Don't get me wrong, but everyone's fucking steamrolling on like strawmans.
Oh yeah, but I thought damn it, I thought I remembered the clip where she said. I mean, we could try finding it again. I guess I could be wrong on that.
Yeah, but I feel like I could do a good job of reporting on this incident that probably better job than most YouTube channels.
Yeah, it's also whether or not that's going to be beneficial, because this is a dangerous hate train, my dude.
It doesn't matter.
7 million views. Holy shit.
It's like all publicity at that point, you know, making another channel. As long as I don't come off as unprofessional or bigoted or something.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of you gamers are actually white supremacists, I guess. All right.
Whoa.
Yeah. So it's not
that includes you,
unreasonable.
Simex, by the way. You're not the exception.
Especially if like imagine she has like 200 viewers a stream, and then she gets 1,000 after this controversy. It's reasonable for her to say that a large chunk of them may be white supremacists, like just being like, you know, trying to harass her.
Well, so I think almost that's not really even what she said here. She said not just the people watching her, a lot of you gamers, right? I think she went for the gamer category, right?
Wait, are you sure? Like, how are you sure that that's what she explicitly said?
Oh yeah. So I'm watching the clip. I think a lot of you gamers are actually white supremacists. Here you go.
And how do you know that she's referring to the gamer category and not her chat?
So, I mean, she could be referring to just her chat. I would just be questioning the use of gamer instead of just the chat.
Yeah, but then these sort of things is like, it's just like a failing in her articulation, and then people are believing that she's like some sort of, she's making such a larger claim than she might be, and people run with it.
But so if we would just look, I guess, at the totality of evidence would support the claim, and I'm pretty sure if you look at her Twitter, she is parroting the same kind of rhetoric that we see here. I think she actually holds this view, though I could be wrong.
Hold on, let me have a look. I'm listening.
I didn't even watch the whole clip, actually.
Okay, so, I've listened to it as well, and she says, I think a lot of you gamers are white supremacists. Sorry, it's just a fact. And I agree, she is referring to the category of gamers. But then, how do you know, like, think of it this way, though. It would be true to say that a lot of you humans are white supremacists. Like, if you have 1,000, then it's true to say there's a lot of them.
So...
Is she trans?
So she's other kin.
Yeah, that's yes.
She's trans kin, okay?
What? What?
She is.
She is.
Simex has been introduced to Deergate. Red alert. Dane alert.
Dane. Okay.
And this is the sign of the times, Simex.
So actually I think so if we were to say, if we have like a population of millions or billions and like some thousands of white supremacists, when you say lots, I think that implies like more like a percentage than just like a raw number.
It might, but then I don't think that's I mean, she should be the author of her words, not us. If she,
Oh, yeah,
I think she's gone back on this statement on her own Twitter. She said like something to the tune of what I'm referring to. I guess I would need to like pull that up.
No, I'm looking at the tweet. So I'm just saying. So like, if we don't have other evidence to appeal to, that's the way I would go about interpreting it, right? So like, if she wants to clarify, I'm not going to say like that's what her words meant, right?
So what you're saying is, what should happen? What people should do is interpret this as the percentage of the population, like a significant fraction, like 20%
Well, that would be
or something.
my
which is of course over like seems completely incorrect and is a huge accusation. And what you're saying is people should take that interpretation until she, well, like the onus is on her to clarify.
Yeah, I would say. Well, it depends. I wouldn't even want to do like a prescriptive thing in terms of like how you should interpret things. It's just like intuitionally, I would interpret it on like a percentage basis, right? By just that sentence.
Okay.
So what she clarified was, I have never and will never say most gamers are white supremacists. Then she clarifies like white men have the most privilege when it comes to voice chat communication. This statement has Ralph.
Can you post that?
Yeah,
if we're doing podcast sections, then you need to share the material with me.
I see.
Gotta be kildekritisk.
The fuck is Simex saying? English only, pal.
He's saying it doesn't really apply here what he's saying because like we're taking direct quotes from the person that we're talking about, I guess.
So Simex said something irrelevant. Is that what you're saying?
He wanted. You got to be critical of your sources, right?
Oh, that's what it is in English. Fuck.
I have never and will never say most gamers are white supremacists. White men have the most privilege when it comes to voice chat communication. This statement has riled up more than a few white supremacists. Remember, having privilege does not invalidate your hardships.
So you're right. So when she said a lot, she probably meant it in the way that you meant it, which is just like a raw number. But I'm not actually sure if she's approaching that in good faith. If she wanted that to be misinterpreted for like a bigger shitstorm, because it seems like I just don't know that most people like it. Almost just seems like a I don't know. I mean, maybe that's just like a slip of the tongue, or like just a normal thing to say. But like, let's say
it is. That's the problem. She's doing things which are slip of the tongue. It's like it's like a matter of articulation, and we all suffer this. Like we all say things that we don't mean to the letter of our words, and can be interpreted or should be interpreted badly. But the problem is that the criticism I would levy against somebody like this is if you're going to be playing with these charged topics and making bold assertions about them, then those are the sort of topics that you really need to be precise with what you're saying.
Yeah, and also I can't even tell, and I mean I don't have any evidence to like suggest this is the case, but like this seems like it could be a person that's like not coming at this in good faith and just like she wants to be misinterpreted to some extent, and then hide behind some like defense of like what the words actually mean.
It may be, but like, I just think that's weird. Weak to just attribute, you know.
No, I wouldn't say so. Like, it's not a claim I would make, right? It's just it's a speculation I have, right? At least currently, because to me she seems like that kind of person, but I wouldn't want to defend that idea, right? Because it seems weird, right? So if we have like a population of multiple hundreds of millions of people, right, and we have like some thousands of them being like white supremacists, saying a lot there just seems like a really weird word to use, and it could just be a slip of the tongue, I guess. But it's just a really weird implication it has. So yeah, I mean, I'd grant that it's maybe a slip of the tongue. I would even grant that it's probably a slip of the tongue.
Yeah. But then we see clips of like other streamers watching it and like getting really annoyed at the interpretation. So it becomes like a bandwagon against her. But even regardless, even if you take my interpretation, right, even if you just grant it, do you still think that this behavior's, even with the positive interpretation, is unbecoming of somebody that's on like a Twitch council?
The specific behavior of saying probably If that, so this statement probably shouldn't happen, but less than other statements she's made.
Oh, well, see, the statement which I'm gonna close my window. Excuse me. I live on a fucking racetrack. The statement that I'm most concerned with is something about I have power and there's nothing you can do about it. And
yeah, that's
be
the one
afraid
I'm
of me.
Like, this is less problematic than that statement. That statement for like a council, like it's probably not good at all. Like that probably should get you almost immediately removed. Like that's really, really bad.
I'm trying to think.
Oh dear.
But aren't these okay? I agree. But here's a factor that I think needs to be considered. Don't we think that we need to be like sympathetic of these people? As in, if a stream chat harasses somebody, you would expect them to retaliate, and this seems to be a retaliation. Like if everyone was just nice to her, she probably would never have said anything like that.
So that's true, but at the same time, I think that shows that they're not emotionally mature enough to be on the council. Like,
well, maybe that's also true, but how many deerkin are we going to find to put on a council that are going to react positively to this sort of harassment?
Maybe not any, and then in that case, we just wouldn't have we wouldn't represent the other kin. Okay, that's just too bad. If no one is fit there, right? They're already like I don't think representation in this sense needs to be based on like identity, right? If they're not fit, if they don't fulfill the other criteria, it's like maybe it's a good thing if they're like on the same playing field as like other people and they fulfill the same criteria. But if not, it's probably not.
I guess I should do some more looking into like the why she was chosen. Like what positive traits does Twitch see in her other than being a deer?
Other than being a deer.
I feel funny about it, right? Because the last thing you want to do is like disparage trans people or any sort of minority, but there's something like immutably funny about claiming you're a deer. I mean, if you've heard Joe speak about like social constructs, I think there is like a genuine distinction between a class like an atom or a species and a social construct like a gender. So it's okay to say screw your subjective classifications like gender, I'm a switch, or I'm a just ignore it, like non-binary and trans. But to say that you swap sex, which is a category based on like atomic attributes, like being a deer, is just completely different. So it may be only bigoted to force the subjective category, but not bigoted to force the descriptive category.
No, yeah, I agree, and that's my position as well. Like, I do believe in like the sex gender like distinction, right? Where gender is more like a social construct that's attributed to like specific traits that you exhibit, right? It's more subjective to be judged on, right? It's not like as objective as like sex, which can usually be judged on either chromosomes or genitals.
Right. Yep. I think we can put a pin in that one, and I'm going to look into it more in my own time.
Yeah, it's so funny. You heard about these people, right? They were it was meme like the other kin shit, but like no one has been posting.
Yeah, I've never seen any. I've never seen any. Apart from like maybe furries, but that seems to be like a completely different phenomenon. Like
yeah, it's like a weird like sexual king, and this is like actual.
Yeah, like I don't think furries think that they are dogs when they are not in the suit.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Another thing about furries is like, don't you think that they all should get like jobs as like mascots for like baseball clubs and fucking NFL and stuff like that, so they could just like be a furry all the time, or like work at Disney or something?
Yeah, as long as they don't, I guess, get well, I mean, they can get turned on if they still do that job, just as long as they don't show it too much.
They just get turned on by seeing the other mascot, and so they're just like flirting with each other across the pitch.
So Simex, you probably have an interesting perspective on furries, right?
On furries?
Yeah.
Those are the like girls acting like wolves and bunnies and shit, right?
Well, I wouldn't say girls.
Wait, what? What's Fury?
A furry is well, so a furry is do you know when? No, so furry is just when you dress up as like an animal, an animal usually with fur. Okay.
Yeah, they have like costumes and they have like big heads typically.
Yeah. Have you heard of a fursuit?
Oh yeah, I've seen a YouTube video on some girl that had like fucking creepy around her eyes and shit, and yeah, dressed up like.
All right, so like,
What's the video?
so hold on a second. So there's a distinction here, okay? If someone puts on like a little like a cat tail and like cat ears, like to be fucking cute or whatever, that's okay.
That's different.
We allow this. Now,
We
however,
we approve of the cat girls.
this is a very much approved on, okay? However,
for millennia, in fact.
Yes, this is very true.
Mm.
Well, we don't approve of is this. All right, this is not okay.
You just out and out say this is not okay. It's yeah. I mean, I'm just gonna state no position on it. I'm not gonna condemn it, and I'm not gonna like support it. I'm gonna leave it alone.
Simex, take a strong stance right now. Also, this is the picture's right next to this one for some reason.
What is this?
What the fuck? Wait, what? Oh,
I don't know what that is really.
It's like the Drake meme. Can you tell? It's like it's
I
instead
think
of
I get it. Yeah.
so like instead of this and
oh yeah, I know the Drake meme. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, okay, I see. So for you to dress up like that, it's okay and I don't know what the English word is. Help me out, fast alone.
Oh wait, do they have that? Wait. Wait, Austin, what would you call it? Do you know when do you have like an event where you dress up and then like hit a piñata or whatever? Or like an arrow?
Oh. No. I don't think we do in the UK.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Okay, then maybe for Halloween, I don't know.
No, so this is not for any specific event except for the furry event, okay? This is for the sake of being a furry, okay?
That's a furry event?
Hell
Okay,
yeah.
Okay, what's the point of being a furry?
It's to fuck other furries, my dude. Hell yeah.
Wait, what? Okay,
but aren't they all boys? Like,
is it some kind of sex obsession?
It's a what?
Sex obsession?
Yeah, it's like a kink.
Okay.
Oh, wait. Simex, watch this. Look at this meme. Have you seen this meme? This is a great meme.
huh?
Do it with the volume, the sound.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Wait, does it sound what?
But it's Danish.
No, it doesn't.
Always download it. Download it.
Oh, okay.
You need the sound.
I'll download. I'll see. Wait, there's no sound in the clip you sent me, bro.
Nani?
What?
Hold on, I'll find it. I'll find it. Don't you dare watch it. You need the sound. This one's really important.
Yeah, I close it down. Not reading. Not reading.
Yeah. Where's this fucking video?
We went full off on the surf topic. I thought that was like the over topic.
Yeah, we're gonna move to that soon.
Oh, okay, fine enough.
Like, this isn't really the podcast yet.
Oh, I thought we were doing great for the podcast.
Well, I mean, I like the content. I mean, we could include it.
No. How should Deer can be treated in the surf community, and should we have protected classes for them?
I should who?
I mean, we don't even have girls, let alone trans people. Oh,
we have one trans
people. Yeah, we have trans people. Well, I mean, it's almost like a numbers game. It's like if you have 1 million people in your gaming community, then you'll have 1,000 trans. If you have 1,000 trans, you'll have at least one deer.
What the
fuck? What's the ratio of deer kin to trans people?
What you say?
I don't think there's studies on that one yet, bro.
Okay, I might have not listened too carefully before. You said out of 1,000 furries, there's at least one deer.
No, 1,000 trans people. There's at least one deer. I mean, as like a numbers game, not I mean, numbers game. You're probably gonna have a deer if you have 1,000 trans people.
Wow. Okay, what's a deer?
What's a deer?
What do you mean? What's a deer? Woodland creature. 4 legs, hooves, antlers, eats grass.
Okay, how's that in connection with a trans person?
Yeah, because people say they're deers.
As in, like, that's their animal that they dress up as?
Animal.
No, it's not about dressing up. It's about being a deer.
Yes.
Okay.
If you're like, imagine you're watching Bambi, right, and you're like, oh shit,
that's me.
What the fuck? Okay. I'll be open-minded. Okay.
Yep.
Open-minded here. Yes.
Yep.
That's fair.
Yep.